So we're going to open the June 25th Selectmen's meeting. Open session public meetings are subject to being videotaped. Your image and voice may be recorded. We have 3 appointments tonight. Well, the first one's at 7:15, so we have a few minutes. We can approve a few things, right? So the first thing is the meeting minutes. Friday, June 8th, open session. Monday, June 11th, open session. Monday, June 18th is just Lisa and I. And Friday, open session, June 22nd. You want to approve these all as a...
Motion to approve.
Seconded?
And you will be abstaining from June 18th since you weren't here. That was a Monday. You were on the beach.
Oh, yes, I was on the beach.
Yes.
Yes.
But is there anything anyone had changes or anything? I think I did have.
You had some typos that needed to be fixed, right?
Yeah, I think they're on June 11th. I think somewhere in that meeting minutes, there was the word Keith said, and it should be the board.
Ah.
And June 18th, I was wondering, I believe we need a start time or something at the beginning saying, when the meeting was.
Okay.
Something like that. And I didn't check them all for that, but once in a while.
I don't always.
Yeah, me too.
Sometimes
But-
if I don't note it, I don't actually write it, but I might be able to reconstruct it.
Yeah, but, even if it was a 1 o'clock meeting, you could
Okay.
put that at the top.
Mhm.
That was
Oh, the
all I had.
18th, that was Monday, I was here. Yep, that was a 1 o'clock meeting on Monday. Yep,
Yeah, yes.
okay. will do.
Okay. Other than those small changes, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
And one executive
One
session.
executive session meeting of June 11th. Sorry about that, guys.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Okay. I don't think I had anything. How about you guys? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. So we have a real estate FY17. This one is for $760.80. Is that what this is?
Yep.
Oh, they're all of them,
Yeah, Do
okay.
you want to do them as a bundle?
We can. There was a real estate FY17 for $760.80. Real estate FY18, $3,777.24. Real estate FY18 for $10.57. Motor vehicle for $337.04. Motor vehicle for $29.84.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Does anybody have anything else to add?
So are these for people that, moved out of town? And we need to refund them money?
Or in the case of motor vehicle, they maybe bought a new car.
Okay.
If you actually look on the sheet, it will say
Right.
payment or abatement.
I can actually let her take a look if you'd like.
No, I was just curious. I thought that's what
Okay.
it was, but wanted to ask.
All right.
Thank you.
Did I ask all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
Alrighty, we're good.
Good. Alright. The next thing on the agenda is a reserve fund transfer for legal expenses for $9,500.
It might need to be more like 10,000 even.
Yeah?
Yeah, there was a little bit of pushback today from Conservation, had some charges that they, it looks like correctly are stating are not theirs. So they need to be backed out of a bill that I just divided between us and them.
Okay.
So, 9,500, I thought was gonna be good, but it might be safer to be at an even 10.
Okay.
And we were underfunded this year, so you'd requested $50,000 for a couple of years running. The FinCom gave you $30,000 this year and told you to come back and seek reserve fund transfers as needed. You did receive one already this year for $11,000, and this would be the second one for 10, so it'd be bringing you to $51,000 in all.
And that's what we requested,
Yeah,
isn't it?
pretty much.
Yeah, so,
So do we need to wait, or do we need to change the number on there?
No, I didn't write the number on there, I just put it as a post-it. I
Okay.
left it for the board to
okay.
fill in.
What do
Or
you
we
think?
could wait until we actually have bills.
That's up to you.
I'd rather wait.
You'd rather
You're
wait?
fine if we wait?
Finance committee isn't meeting until the 9th.
Okay,
Ninth.
anyway,
then there's
so-
no
Okay.
reason to do this tonight.
All right. That's fine. You might want to just make a note.
That's fine.
Okay. Let's see. One-day liquor license for the Crystal Club charity, which is Berlin Country Club, for August 11th. And they had requested 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Did we change that one
It's
to?
on the face, it should say 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Because we can't do it for 6 a.m. as they requested?
Right, and then last year they were 8 to 8. I think they were probably just going early so they felt like they had comfortable setup time. But that
Okay.
shouldn't really affect them. I can't imagine they're really teeing off at 6 in the morning
Motion to approve?
with Bloody Marys.
Seconded.
Or maybe they
Like you
have
do. You do tee off that early.
at 6 with booze. Okay,
So we have a motion to approve and a second.
Yes.
Anything else to be said?
So is it 6 or is it 8?
it will be 8 because they.
It's 8 a.m.
issued it
to
before
8 p.m., but it says otherwise on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Alrighty.
Thanks. So, why don't we jump down to 6 and we'll do 5 when we return from our appointments? Would be the acceptance of a resignation of Nadine Ekstrom from the Economic Development Committee, effective June 21st.
Do we need to approve this? Or we
Do you
just, like,
usually?
It's just a letter with
Thank you
thanks
note.
is being sent.
Right, so we're all good with this?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And we'll each sign the letter of thanks to her for her contributions. And let's see, the next is a reappointment of John Solera to Capital Planning Committee through June 30th, 2020.
Motion to approve?
Seconded.
Anything else?
No, he's great.
I know, quick.
Yeah.
Let's take a vote.
Get him get him on the hook so he can't get away.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do you want us to vote on this whole entire thing? And
No, that's the only change to it, otherwise it just goes to the
so we
clerk.
don't need to sign, or do we?
Yeah, you do. You
Oh,
just
okay.
sign- Yep. It's a refreshed list as of, with the resignation of Nadine on it too, so those are all the current vacancies, and I can repost vacancies,
All right.
or we can hold it, whatever.
Seems like it's a running document.
Yeah, it's constant.
Yeah. All right. The fire and police chief want to come up?
Being summoned to the front.
So what's new, guys?
Nothing.
We're just here
We'll
to
see you
chat.
later.
I had a quick question too. Do we use the WEX card, right, for the gas?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a
Okay. I just
program
wanted
through
to
the
make sure.
state for WEX. So,
I thought we did, I just couldn't remember the name of the card.
okay.
Okay, so we're here to talk about possible regionalization.
Yeah, so kind of what actually started kind of as a joke in the beginning. We knew Chief Z was leaving, and Boylston's fire chief, Joe Flanagan, he's an easy guy to get along with, and we get along really well with him. And we kind of had some joking conversations in the beginning about, you could take over and you could run both places. And kind of from that, it's grown that we're actually sitting down with the town of Boylston, with Central Mass Regional Planning, and we're looking at the potential to see if this is something that could happen, whether it could be complete regionalization of public safety, sharing leadership at the top but keeping separate departments. We really don't know what direction it's going to go in. It's very early on. Central Mass Regional Planning right now is trying to do some population growth studies on both communities for us to kind of see where we're going to be in 10 years, 15 years, to understand what the demands and needs of the communities are going to be, and to start to look at the feasibility of it. This is going to be a long process, could be up to a couple of years to figure out what's going to happen. There's a lot there. Our ultimate goal is better service to the residents. I know on the police end, it's very difficult for me to justify a lot of the expense to train officers in certain specialties and some of the detective and investigative things. So we're lacking that. A lot of it is things we don't see often, but as this area and growth continues west, we see more things coming through town, and there's more potential for it. And hopefully we can be prepared to deliver that service if we ever need it. I don't know, on the fire end that you see.
On the fire side, we do a lot of things kind of regionally now with Fire District 8, like all the fire districts in the state. We share equipment, we share personnel, we share resources, and so one of the things we started off looking at was paramedic services, because this area is hurting for paramedic services. There's just not enough to meet the demand. So we've got a regional group of chiefs and EMS folks, along with Central Mass Regional Planning Commission, to come out to look at do a regional approach. And does that regional approach mean, because we have people from Leominster all the way to here that are part of the group, do we do something as a big group, or is there going to be a different model for maybe Berlin and Boylston might be a different model from Leominster and Clinton? But we're looking at all of those different things to see what's best for our global perspective and then our smaller area. So that's where we started with looking at the regionalization efforts. And then like Chief Galvin said we picked on Chief Flanagan and said, you can come over here and take over, you know. And so we're looking at different ways. Right now we're doing some training, some regional. We have done, forever, we've done regional training within the departments as far as fire training and rescue training, large-scale EMS disasters, things like that. But now we're doing some, just started actually, tonight was as our first night, we're having officers from the area departments and our officer training. We've got the next 18 months laid out of officer training. We're trying to bring the officers from the area departments in to work together so that the first time you meet each other isn't when there's an incident, but learn to work with each other and try to, again, coordinate things that way. So again, like Chief said, we it's going to be a long process to look at it, to provide better service, and to the citizens. We got to look at efficiencies and deficiencies within our own operations, look at shared resources and personnel and equipment. We got to consider all the pros and cons and what are the direct and indirect costs associated with it. It's going to take buy-in from the administrative portions of town government, the departments, and from the public and from the people. And the end result might realize some potential cost savings, but then again, it's still, we have to look at it, it's going to be fair and equitable to both communities. If Berlin and Boylston want to look at something, it's got to be fair and equitable to both communities. You can't have one bringing in $1 million worth of assets and another bringing in $100 worth of assets. It's not fair. So again, there's a whole lot to look at and to review and to do it properly. So.
It's going to be an interesting process. I think, and the big part of it, like Chief Z spoke about, is buy-in, and it really comes down to people. You know, it's going to be how the people feel about it. Both us sitting at this table, the people that work for both of us and work in Boylston, and the people that are sitting behind us. If they're not comfortable with it, it can't work. So.
Well, that's one reason I asked you to come, was because the more that you get it out there,
Right.
the more that people
Yeah.
will hear about it and
Yeah,
decide one way or the other.
It's something that's unusual in Massachusetts. Although it's something we've talked about regionalization forever. We've talked about everything in regionalization, all sorts of services. We just never do it. We never give up control in Massachusetts. You go throughout the country, fire service is countywide in a lot of places. It's already done that way. Other than large cities in other states, it's county policing. You get to Pennsylvania. I think Pennsylvania has 34 regional policing agencies made up of 4 or 5 different towns. It works. It's there. We just have to get it into our heads that it works and realize that we can do it. Timing-wise here, it's a good time. Chief Z is on, the way out. Chief Sahagian in Boylston is also on the brink of retirement. So it works, because it's hard when you do things and you combine things and you have to push people away. That really causes some animosity. So for here, the timing is actually really good and right.
How is CMRPC? Is it sort of heading it up?
So CMRPC was actually very excited to hear about it, to try and work through it, because it hasn't happened here. There's been some discussions in the past with fire departments. It was Hopkinton and Ashland, and that didn't work out. That kind of fell apart at the last second, and that came down to people. It really didn't work with the people working in the 2 departments. So again, that's where we have to, it's going to be a lot of work on us. We're creating a little more work for ourselves. Again, I'm good at doing that for myself.
So are there any others in Massachusetts?
So there are none other than Massachusetts. Right now, Hardwick and New Braintree share police administration. They have a shared police chief and lieutenant. But other than that, there is
Really?
Nothing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
The places to talk about it, what it is nobody likes to give up their kingdom.
Yeah.
It's New England, and everybody likes their little fiefdom and kingdom, and it's hard for people to give up control.
Mm-hmm.
And again, most of the time, nothing with this board, but other boards and other communities, they just look at it as saving money. Well, let's do it to save money, and they might jump into something as simple as animal control. And we're going to do this to save money. It's not to provide better service. It's not. That's how we're going to save money, and it fails. Why does it fail? Because it hasn't been planned out. That's why we said it's going to take a while to plan it out, to get all the facts and all the information and make sure that it's fair and equitable for all involved and to get that buy-in,
Yeah,
so.
and that there's gonna
it's-
be an improvement in service. If it's gonna be status quo and it's gonna cost us the same amount of money, why go
Why
through all the
bother?
effort? Why bother?
Right.
But if we can improve services, and then as a result of that, in the end, save some money for the communities, it's a win-win.
So I have a couple questions. Why Boylston? Why not Clinton, Hudson, Marlboro?
Boylston became kind of a natural partner because of the regional school district. It also fit with a police chief towards the end of his career. And you start to look at Hudson, much larger agencies, didn't fit well. You look at Clinton, same thing, much larger agencies, didn't fit well. We're very similar to Boylston. You look on the police departments, we're both staffed with 10 full-time officers. So it's very common, very similar structure, and we work in the same kind of environments. So it really worked out well. Bolton could be another type of partner, but no, not right now.
No, and the only reason that I ask is I know that that's one question that people will ask.
Yeah.
You had also mentioned that it would take a couple years. As a project manager, I always go by project plans. I always start with a finish date and then go this way. So is it 2 years, 2.5, 3, 1.5? I mean, what is kind of like that stake in the ground to start to work this way?
I think we're going to have to get a better idea. We're going to meet up with CMRPC maybe next week, and we'll start to get a better idea of that. Maybe we can come back with a firmer date. Because if we don't set a deadline, it just makes it harder. We just draw it out.
Correct. Well, especially
Right.
with, potentially Chief Z leaving, if
Yep.
it's going to take 3 years and you're done in a year, what do we do?
What do we do?
Or if it's a year, what do we do if it's 2 years? So, what's your planned communication with the town to keep them in the know, so that as these questions come up, A, we get rid of Rumorville, our favorite place.
Yes.
And B, you start to build the support of the town behind you to be like, hey, this is really good.
Right.
Where can they go for questions, answers? Nothing yet?
Nothing yet, nothing official. I mean, at some point, we're going to have some forums. We're going to have to do some other things. There's a lot of informal things. I try and get myself out there enough. I brought it up to the group I have coffee with here and there to try and get it out there. I've done that already, and I'll continue to do that and continue to field questions. We'll come back to you with more. But then it's also going to be on our departments. If we get buy-in early from our agencies, our folks are the best people to get out there and answer people's questions and help spread the word.
Well, let us know what we can do. Do you have any other questions, Lisa?
Nope, I just, as soon as you have sort of a date that you're thinking of.
Yeah.
I think it's
Or even
important.
any
Yeah.
other new information that
Yeah,
you want to
absolutely.
share with the television
Yep.
audience?
I think, I think no matter what, we probably should come back in a month and give you an update and
Sure.
keep
Yeah.
moving forward.
So why don't we just put that on the agenda? For
Yeah,
Sure.
excellent.
Do you want to do the fire request for surplus police cruiser for inspections while we're here?
Sure,
Okay.
please.
And explain it to
Okay,
us, or-
well, originally we were going to put in for a grant for an electric vehicle, but because the town hasn't finished the grant process they're in, we couldn't apply.
Almost
And
there.
almost.
Almost.
So we're trying to get a stopgap between now and next year. Right now, they're running that four-door, four-wheel drive pickup, that big diesel, and it's an older vehicle, and it's costs a lot in fuel. And plus, with the new staffing that we're adding on, we're going to need another vehicle for utilizing during the day. So we thought that this vehicle, not as an emergency response vehicle, but just to put around town for doing inspections with especially the fire inspector and the building commissioner, would be the basic use for it.
Okay.
Because now they mainly use their own vehicles, or?
No, they use that pickup.
Okay.
So, yeah, they-
Sometimes the
Fall
building
history or-
commissioner is using his own vehicle, but, and then when the pickup's being used, they're going out in a forestry truck. So it's not really good
Yeah,
use of.
a smaller SUV versus a 3,500 diesel pickup.
Yeah, and the reason I asked about the WEX card is we actually need to, for green communities, we need to keep track of all the fuel that we use as a town. And that
Oh, we get
card
that-
is
we
the
get that
missing-
print out anytime.
right? That's,
We already are.
It's we, right?
We already have been doing that for a couple of years.
Yeah, we don't wanna, we don't wanna be using trucks for
Yeah.
basic transportation.
So,
We
I mean,
don't
it's a
have
high
to.
mileage vehicle, but to be used in that way, it can
Again, it probably
keep
gets
going for.
16 miles a gallon as opposed to 8 or 10.
It'll probably get
Yeah.
even more than that. I think we're close to 12 or 13 with, and that's with a lot of idle time, so I think you can do a lot better.
So, do we need a vote for this? All right. Let's see. Motion to surplus the police cruiser for fire.
Just transfer it between
Transfer.
departments for
Right.
insurance purposes.
Yeah, it won't be done right away.
Motion to move the police cruiser to the other department?
Shorter version shortened, approved, seconded, one of those, good?
Yeah, what she said.
What she
What
said?
she said.
Over there?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All
Okay.
right. Did you want to give us any update? How's the ambulance doing? I had a text from the chief over the weekend saying that the ambulance broke down.
It did, it broke down on the way to the hospital, the patient, but the patient was transferred to a mutual aid ambulance, so there was no delay in care. But it wouldn't start again. It seems to be a fuel problem. We spent $6,000 on it the last 2 years for this problem as early as about 3 months ago. I haven't heard back from the truck repair shop yet, but as soon as I do, I will let you know.
Okay.
And we do have the new one, which we have picked out. It's through the bid program, and it's a demo. It just came off the line, just came off of being built. It was at the International Chiefs Show, and now it was at the New England Chiefs Show, and that's it. That's all it's had for mileage is the travel between the two shows, and it's coming to us, and we're going to be able to get that and the cardiac thumper all within the price that we set at town meeting, which we didn't think we'd be able to afford.
Do we know
So-
when this new ambulance might be coming?
So we should have an answer tomorrow, but it's got to have lettering put on it, things like that.
Yeah.
But hopefully by the second week of July, it'll be here.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have no ambulance until then?
Oh, no, the other one's being fixed. It's
Okay.
just going to cost more money.
All
This is
righty.
why we approved a new ambulance at town
Yes,
meeting.
it is. Maybe just a teensy bit short of.
That's all right.
He
It
did
happens.
ask, in his defense, he did ask for the ambulance last year.
Yes.
And finance requested that we wait until
Right.
the ambulance receipts equal the cost of the new
It's coming.
ambulance.
It's coming.
All
Rest
right.
assured. We're still responding. We have a backup ambulance is being called right away. We're still sending folks out in a vehicle with medical supplies and everything to treat until the ambulance gets there.
While they're here, do you all want to make a motion for the ambulance service collection policy? Did you have a chance to look at the final one, or you have seen at least one version of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, motion to approve the write-off policy.
Seconded.
Okay. Was there anything else anybody had?
Did you want to see it?
I just want a
We'll-
final copy when you're done.
Okay.
I've
Yeah.
seen the drafts and everything, so.
Okay, good. Then we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Yay.
Another one off the table.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Cha-ching.
I'd like boxes.
All right. Well, thank you all.
We're dismissed?
Thank
You
Thank you.
are.
For now.
Thank you.
All right.
But you'll be back.
Thank you, chiefs.
Thank you.
You're going to be asked to sign off on special article balances. Tom, the special article balances for radios and matching grants, do you just want to just let them know real quick that,
Yeah, well, the matching grants, I mean, we all use that, so that we should definitely keep that. The radios, I'm gonna have a conversation with June tomorrow.
and you want that kept open?
For now, it may be used tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Is there any other ones for either one of those guys? I don't think so.
No.
Except
No, there
just-
wasn't much on there, really.
Well, there
there?
was the fire chief search, but that's
your
up to
decision.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, okay.
Okay.
Next appointment is the Board of Health. Want to come on down? Hello.
Evening.
I can stay back.
No, 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 no.
Oh, no, 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 no.
Come to the front.
You're in the hot seat, too.
I don't have to shoot as far.
Yeah, right.
We're here for two reasons. One, I'm just going to give you a brief update relative to two lots in town that have been, there are questionable issues. I had a conversation with town council this afternoon and have read over all kinds of reports. And she and I both concluded that although defensible, probably not winnable, which would end up in a taking. And the original reason was, I wanted to find out how the board felt about a potential lawsuit. But the approach Amy is going to take is, in both cases, she's going to approach their attorneys and say, okay, let's put the hostilities aside. What can you do to move your system? And I told her if they're able and willing to move their system X number of feet, hopefully it's 10 or 20 or more, that it wouldn't be a problem with us. There's a learning curve here. We have a reg that we know we have to tighten up, a definition per se, because they're definite. We got definitions from DEP, from Title V, from our own handbooks,
EPA.
and they're
And everyone, it's a semantics issue. Everyone uses
slightly different words.
wording.
So I'm going to plead total ignorance. Could you back up and give me a little background on this? I kind of feel like I'm
Okay,
coming in on
in
that
both
last page.
cases, we'll start with Crosby Road. It was determined that there was a wetland that was not properly flagged. And the owners who bought the parcel from Scott Goddard, as you all know well know, trucked in a bunch of fill, and cease and desist was put on them. Right now, it appears their system is 30 feet from a wetlands, and
And
it should
and
be
they should be,
it should be more like 100.
that's what I thought. Okay, go ahead.
So we can't do anything with that, although the owner told Concom that the Board of Health approved a 20-foot movement, and we did not.
Is there any paperwork around that? I mean, for them
It's
to,
in our minutes that we told them that they need to submit a new septic plan
Okay.
before we would take any action.
and that hasn't been done.
No.
Their permit has expired, correct?
Their permit has expired and will remain so until there's some sort of equitable
Agreement,
agreement.
yep.
Scott Goddard's involved in the other parcel at River Road and Gates Pond. And there's a
Is that the vernal pool?
vernal pool that wasn't registered, but it does exist. But definitions get cloudy. And, we went through several different sources and none of them dovetailed with each other, which, another way of saying that is the definitions didn't all jive. One said this, one tweaked it a little bit that way. There was no clear-cut consensus between DEP, Title V,
And whether or not there were setbacks from that isolated land subject to flooding, so
Right, and it was never certified as a vernal pool.
when it came to
So-
us.
Yep.
You can't certify it after the fact.
So with those conditions
Right.
existing,
That's the problem.
Amy is going to take the same approach and say, do what you can to move it as far away from this ILSF, isolated land subject to flooding, as you can. And, in both cases, Board of Health signed off on permits because
It was brought to our
it was
attention.
perceived that the wetlands had all been flagged properly and so forth.
And it came
Evidently,
back.
that really wasn't the case. So we're looking to move forward from these without creating a huge liability and get these as
Definitions.
corrected as we can, and subsequently change some definitions in our regs so that it's much more specific, that we don't have to revisit these situations again.
So is that something that has to go to town meeting then, or
No.
is it
No.
something you
Not
guys
really,
do?
no, we can
Okay.
probably tighten
It's
up
just something we can
definitions.
do, and we'll run, when we're ready to run it by town council, we'll let you know.
Yes.
It's
Because
a
it-
lot of legwork.
If there has to be a
Prepare it.
hearing,
Mm-hmm.
we would have a hearing on it if we have to, but if it's just definitions, just,
Yeah, I also talked with Amy this afternoon, probably before she called Paul.
Yes.
And I think she would probably be someone who would be good to help you to look at your regs
Oh,
and your
absolutely, yeah.
policy and
No question.
because you can't, you can't change the process halfway through. You know, you need to have the regs on the books and be fair and equitable to everyone as they come to see you.
Yeah, it's not something this board is comfortable in drafting and enacting without
The help.
input, without attorney help.
Yeah.
So what can we do going forward to avoid this issue? Whether on the wetlands where you said that, the assumption was the wetlands were properly marked, but they are not. So
We
what do we
don't-
do to avoid all this again, so we're not sitting here in another 6
We
months?
have to work a little more closely with Concom, and Concom and ourselves have had that conversation. That's
And the
really step
regs, I
one.
think, and working on
And the
the
regs,
policy.
right.
Yeah.
And being
Yeah.
clear on what a wetland is for Concom's
Right.
sake and for any developer's
Yeah.
sake or landowner's sake.
Right. Well, I don't.
We've been taking a look at the regs actually for the last 3 years. I
Two.
keep trying
2 years and 11 months, no.
to read, but some of the regs were written in 1985, 1989. Some haven't been updated in many, many years.
Yeah.
And they're all kind of pieced together. So in trying to tackle it, it is so overwhelming trying to get through, and then we end up down rat holes. So
Right.
it's,
well, we run off the assumption that when we get plans in front of us, they've been reviewed by
Yeah.
everybody. Conservation has reviewed them.
Are there no sign-offs,
A
are there no
peer-
stamps
yeah,
on
yeah.
these?
Is a peer review now?
Yeah.
And then-
Now there's a
then-
peer review.
There always was.
There always
Yeah,
was one.
if needed, and a notice of intent or whatever, is either negative or positive. We wouldn't issue a permit if that wasn't signed off on, so
And
sometimes
our
we get
building
caught in the middle of
inspector,
that.
Joe,
So-
He's right behind you.
I'm sorry. Good. He wants to attend at least 1 or 2 Board of Health meetings to get where we come from, because he's trying to liaison between the different boards
Yeah.
and make sure everybody's on the same page, which,
I think
Be good.
communication is great.
Yes. I think that's the goal. Better communication between everybody, right?
Yep.
yes.
I'm a big one for checklists. Is there anything that you can put together so that conservation can go,
So-
check, check, done? You guys can go, check, check, done?
We actually
Next one can go, check,
have
check,
that.
done?
Yeah, and
Is it
the
being used?
software?
Yeah.
The new software.
We'll do that.
will also,
You said it.
good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, that's it on those two.
So
Did you have
anything we
a
can
question
do?
about the,
I just cannot, I have to comment on this.
Until they
Our
hear
Board of
from-
Health
Legal.
Until they hear from
regulations
Okay.
are probably the best in the state.
Yeah.
I ran for selectman in 1970 because it was the Board of Health, not because it was the selectmen. And we quadrupled the state requirements on perk tests, expansion areas, all of that stuff. So we basically have one of the best Board of Health, local Board of Health regulations, which fortunately can be voted in simply by the Board of Health.
Mhm.
They have that authority as opposed to wetlands bylaws. So they have a good one. This particular case, I've been on the Conservation Commission 30 years and never ran into anything like it. People who are forthright and stuff tend to be hoodwinked rather easily. This was done by the fellow who stood up at our town meeting 2 years ago and slammed down his certificate from MIT, from Harvard, he invented Oxford University and all this other stuff, and shot down our wetlands bylaw. If that local wetlands bylaw had passed, we wouldn't be here tonight. And there's at least 3 houses that have gone in just 2 years that ecologically speaking should not be there because of the individual who's causing this trouble that the chairman of the Board of Health is talking about right now. So hopefully we can think about that.
Thanks, Walter. Something else you want to talk to us about?
Yes.
I'll let Sue take it from
Oh,
here.
thanks. Nice warning.
What do you think, I invited you?
We have an employee who has a significant amount of vacation time that he wants to roll over into the next year. I did advise Paul to advise the employee he needed to use the vacation, but it did not happen. So now we have 30 hours of vacation time that needs to be rolled over, depending on how we do this. And then this person will get an additional week of vacation time in January because he's hitting a milestone, which slipped my records because unless my recollection was doing the budget, because unless I'm in the files, looking at everybody's anniversary dates, I missed it. I did the whole budget for the transfer station. I calculated everything out to the penny, but that I missed. So we're going into next year with about a $1,300 deficit. Now, I could find that. I'm very good at my budgets, but I'm not allowed to take money from expenses and put it into payroll. So we wanted to give you a heads up because most likely we've got to notify FinCom next, and then we'll have to go to special town meeting to get this $1,300, I guess, or wherever it comes from. I'm not up on where the money comes from. I just know I get slapped if I go over. And we want to give you all a heads up.
Now, you've already looked at the personnel bylaws and the personnel policies.
Yeah,
and-
I mean, but I feel like I'm kind of stuck at this point. I mean, we told that person to take it, and he didn't. He said he doesn't remember being told. And I'd like to know where to go from here.
Well,
I mean, that's a lot of vacation time to,
yeah. Do you want us
Eat.
to take it under advisement for the moment? And
Yeah, well, I think this is another area where our personnel policy, it's another regulation issue where our personnel policy needs to outline more clearly.
yes, because
And once again, so we need to follow sort of past practice until we tighten up and past practice for vacation rollover would be,
there is a limit on what you can roll over, correct?
yeah, isn't it?
1.5 times the applicable vacation leave accrual rate.
Right. So if that person gets 4 weeks of vacation, that would mean he could roll over 2 weeks.
Okay.
Okay.
And 2 weeks would be 42 hours of vacation time. He wants to roll over 30, so it's within that limit.
Okay, then we need to follow the policy.
But I wanted to give everybody a heads up and ask, how do we proceed from here? Because the time can roll over, but the money doesn't.
Right?
Yep.
Pardon?
So this is all in FY19, correct? Not
Yes.
this year?
Yes, because
Okay.
the money, so I'll leave the money, FY18's money on the table, but then
It goes away.
it doesn't, you
Roll
can
over
roll over the
another-
time, but not the money, which was
Yep.
a surprise to me when I was told about this last year, June 29th. So there's no mechanism to do that. And I don't know where or how we pull it off.
Okay, so we basically need to put that in the bucket for the special
Special town
meeting.
meeting in the fall.
And make sure that we address that and
Right.
get the number from you at that time.
Right, you'll have to put an article on the warrant. you might want to give the FinCom a heads up.
I'm gonna send him a memo
And,
this week.
Yep, and,
And put our foot down and make it,
Well, going forward, if you tell me that I have to take my vacation time, then what I would expect is for you to hand me a letter and say, Peg, this is our understanding that you will take vacation time, so no one can come back to you and say, Bob, I didn't get that, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
I sign, well,
Put it
not
in the
I, you sign it,
Yep.
and the employee signs it, it's
it's a
copied,
done deal.
it's done.
Yeah.
It's done, so then we
Having
avoid
things,
the,
having things in writing is always.
yep, just get it done.
but, like I
Steven
said-
had a question?
Yeah, I have a question. I have some rollover in this deal too. And I was wondering if there's a period, you have 60 days to use this rollover. If this town meeting's after that, what happens to us? Where's the money come from?
Well, it's not like the payroll is going to run out of money before they do that.
Correct.
This just makes sure they have enough at the end.
Right,
Okay.
yeah. Because at the end, they would
It's
become
early
short.
enough in the game.
Right.
Yeah. So there's
Okay,
plenty
the
of
other
money in
question I have
payroll, you
is-
just have to make sure that you have enough money at the end.
On my 5th week starts January 19th.
Right.
That isn't in this budget. It didn't get put in the budget.
That's what I just
Yeah.
told them
Yes.
So
about.
we'll have to request the funds.
That'll have to be a request also.
That'll be included in with the rollover, Pete.
Yeah.
I already took that
Yeah,
into
you'll get it all
consideration.
into one
Mhm.
Yes.
article to
19,
put on the warrant.
Yeah.
And it looks like we most likely will have a, let's hope November
I actually,
meeting, but-
no, I think it's gonna be earlier.
Oh, well, that's okay.
My
so-
guess,
but not
because you
later.
have, we have a primary and there's all kinds of, and an
Okay.
election.
Well, I
So
was
it has to
actually
be in
gonna ask
between.
town management on Wednesday night.
Yeah, they're
What they're
working with,
thinking too,
they're
because that
working
was
with
one of the reasons
Eloise,
for meeting.
but I think the window is
Special
October.
November, right.
Because you have a primary in
November.
September and an election in November. Um, But they're very
Just-
carefully working with Eloise to make sure that this works for her.
So
Okay.
who's gonna come up with said document? You all agreed, but who's gonna do
They
it?
always make me type everything because these
What-
two
what-
don't know how to
we-
type.
It'll be a joint effort.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll come up with
And you'll
something.
have
One
it
of
in-
us usually does a draft and then we pass it.
And you'll have it in place by,
Boy, she's
I did.
rough.
Before the fiscal year.
2020? No.
2020. Wait, when's my term up? Wait a minute, 20, there you go.
Maybe
Yeah.
before this fiscal year, something?
So this
Let's all
means I
together?
can use
No.
my 30 hours.
Yep. As long as it falls within, you said it's 60 days after?
Yes.
As long as
Yeah.
it falls within
No,
the
I
personnel
realize that.
policy,
Okay,
yeah.
fine.
Just
Thank
make sure you use it by then, otherwise you lose it.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Well, and I didn't ask you if you had anything to add
Yeah.
to all of this, but
I really, I mean, we're definitely all working on better communication.
Yep.
I think it's great that Joe has offered to kind of be the linchpin for that. We've now gotten really good at going to each other's meetings. So, I think, going forward, if they have something come before them before they approve it, because that's been part of the problem, is the,
Nothing's been synchronized between boards.
right, and the people go board to board to board to board.
Right.
And if this board approves something, but then this board has a question about what was approved, we're kind of backpedaling.
right.
So, I think going forward, if we have questions on septic, we're very comfortable talking to the Board of Health before we go forward.
Mhm.
And I think now the same, if they have something that has wetlands on it, they'll just, we can just call each other, come into a meeting. But it's more alerting each other
Yeah.
that there's something going on, which I think has kind of been,
Well,
we've all kind of been in our own little cubbies, and
Yeah.
we're starting to poke our heads over and see what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
This would be a great place for Google Docs to make sure that we're all in alignment.
Right?
Hey. Yeah.
But we
I
do
think,
finally
once
have a
again, going back,
check-off.
software does that,
Yeah.
correct?
What's that?
You put notes in the software.
Oh yeah, I can put everything in, all the new software that's coming in. I can put notes under each section, whether it be Board of Health or Conservation or any of it, historical.
We do finally have a checkoff on the building permit, which we didn't even have a year ago, so that's good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, anything to get better communication.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And if
then
you, I
guess
mean,
the
if you
only
have
thing-
questions for each other, you can delay, you know.
I was just gonna say, one of the things I'm gonna talk to Bill Brookings about, who's on vacation, is when something comes before us, if we have an iota of a question, we're just gonna put it on hold, talk to Concom before proceeding.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to do that for months, but certainly if you do it from one meeting to the next,
We're just gonna have
You
to
guys almost don't
bend to make sure all that happens. And that's,
Yeah.
should
Yeah,
happen.
better than that, than try to fix it
Better
retroactively.
But yeah,
than this
no,
other stuff.
definitely.
Yeah.
And then I guess the only other thing I would say about tightening up the language on the bylaw is we can make it do whatever we want it to do. You know, we have to, I think, making clear what the purpose of it is and then crafting the language to support that purpose.
The primary, excuse me, the primary one we need to clarify is in the Berlin regs what a wetland is.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the Achilles heel right
Right,
now.
but not, say, referencing another document, you know, kind of being.
It's gonna
yeah,
be unto itself.
a lot of words.
Our goal is to keep the water safe in Berlin
Yes?
Right.
to all standards. State kind of puts them down. We've got over that. But our job is to keep the the water safe and the systems safe. And sometimes, 40Bs, they can override us, do what they want. Sometimes they can't. But the whole idea of the systems, anyone that does go in, we sign off on, it's safe. And that's our job, is that.
Yeah. Oh, we appreciate everything all of you do.
And the
Yes,
transfer.
thank you.
Is it quick, Walter?
Yeah,
Because,
again, it's this particular issue that the Board of Health talked about initially that really triggered this crisis situation, and we have been communicating a lot more, but I will also say that in the early 70s and the 70s, Board of Selectmen would hold town officer meetings 3-4 times a year. And
We're gonna
I haven't
talk about
seen
that
for
later.
years.
Yeah.
And we need to have that leadership and
Yep.
oversight from the Selectmen.
we're going to talk about that on the agenda
Well,
tonight.
there's 2 chairs here who I think would be supportive of that, maybe even 3, of a couple of times a year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Maybe how to improve communication.
Definitely brought us all.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely brought us all in the habit of communicating more, which has
Yeah.
been hugely beneficial.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Enough drinking together.
Yeah. You'll get there.
I didn't catch that one.
Oh, I'll tell you later when the
yeah.
camera's off.
All right. All right, Dennis, come on up. You are.
I don't know if it caught it. I don't know if the mic picked it up.
How we doing?
Mr. Farabee, nice to see you again.
Likewise. Tonight I'm here to ask your support for putting a little bit more muscle and consideration into changing the benefit plans. It's good to have the Insurance Advisory Committee, but because of union negotiations and just general communication, I'd like to see both the Selectmen and the Finance Committee kind of encourage it to happen, put a little weight behind it. Treasurers still around the state are usually responsible for benefits, but we don't like it.
Nobody
I don't
does.
like it either.
But it's something that has to be done. And I don't know if you need the information again or not. I passed it out before. But right now, before the schools separate, it's over $1 million a year just for healthcare benefits. And even though it's going to shrink as a percentage of the budget, in theory, it really isn't, because it's just going to come through the back door from the school assessment. So the schedule is important because, as you're aware, John is trying to come up with a single plan, possibly. Good luck.
John,
I'm sorry, Robert.
Superintendent?
Rob.
Conry.
Rob
Yeah.
Conry.
Good luck with that, that's a challenge.
Yeah.
But we're looking at the future, Cadillac tax, you're all aware of what that is. Right now, it doesn't look like it's going to happen until 2025, if it does. But basically, the goal that I would recommend is to pick one of the benchmark plans that Maya offers that are similar to the benchmark plans at the GIC, which is the State and Municipal Workers Insurance Commission. It involves a little more copay, or we can custom build it. But right now, if we took number 1 or number 2, it would save us about $100,000 a year. That'll shrink as the school kind of rolls out. But it's still something that I'd like to see us do. The deadline's important because Bob has to have the numbers for early spring. They won't be announced until the MMA meeting in Boston, which is in January, late January. So the number crunchers are really going to be busy trying to figure out the region. But we need to know what we're going to have here as a change for Berlin, probably by the end of December, so we can get our actuarial work done to see what it's going to cost us. And I won't go into the GIC option, but towns have used it. It pretty much forces the unions to accept what the town comes up with. There's a little dance you go through, you know, it's something we don't want to do, but it's an option that basically says, this is it, this is what you have to take. And if you make a good breakaway, you're not stuck at the GIC forever. You can get out after, I believe it's 3 years. The GIC has tiers. So you go to the good doctor, or the one you bring your own oxygen, you know, that kind of thing.
That's one way of putting it.
Yeah. So, that's why I'm here.
Okay,
So
you're
what do
looking-
you need from us?
Just a letter that says, hey, Mr. Treasurer, let's get some savings and some proposals on how to do it. I'll get Meyer out here with the Blue Cross expert, the actuary, and we'll go over the options and then present it to the Insurance Advisory Committee as more of a, this is what we're going to do, not what do you think?
Okay, motion.
So just, wait a minute, does this need to be addressed to members of the IAC also, or
Yes.
just yourself? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Okay, motion to get Dennis and the IAC a letter indicating that we would like them to go forward with getting us this
And make
information.
some cost-effective plan changes. Yep.
Seconded.
all right, anything else? All right, all in
Good.
favor? Aye.
Thank you.
So you'll come back with a
Dennis-
nice comparative chart. If you go this, you'll spend. If you go this, you'll spend.
Yes, we
Okay.
have the chart, we just don't have the savings, so we'll have them jump on it. Last year it was 100,000 roughly for number one, you know, that first one we looked at. Number 2 is a little more aggressive, but not really.
It's always nice to see on paper so that you can take it away and sit
Yep.
down and go home and figure it out for visual people. Okay.
Medical expenses are expected nationally to go up 8% per year. That's the target. We're in good shape right now. We went from, what was it, 100% back down to 86.5 or whatever, so the rate should be pretty good coming into the next year.
This is
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
email that has some of the information in it if you want to
Okay.
grab that. I'm giving her the copy of that email from Dennis.
I'm sure I have it.
You probably do.
I do. I'm sure it's filed away. But thank you.
All right. Oops. All right, we're gonna go back to number 5, approval disposal donation by the school department of existing surplus BMS playground equipment and structures. Some of the equipment, I assume, is metal, and that might be a good transfer station item. One of the things that I was a little concerned about was that there's about $76,000 needed before the project starts, and I wasn't sure whether it's a problem to start with this disposal of the equipment and then putting in of the new equipment before they have the money to start the project. Is that, am I not a clue?
Lynn sent an email during the meeting, actually,
Oh,
saying that the
Lynn Sally.
demolition would begin in August, well after the bids are accepted. I don't know why he's saying that, because I don't know that the money's all assembled yet. But they are saying that they would demo only areas and items concurrent with the new equipments and contracts. If we are short of funds, Plan B is to only do one playground for 5 to 12 years old
okay.
kids, and then when sufficient money arises, repeat the process for the second area. But that's what Keith was asking this afternoon. Do you want to go ahead and allow them to demo the playground when they don't have the money assembled yet to build the playground?
No,
And
because
furthermore-
what are the kids gonna play on?
Hey,
And I guess the question for me would be, even if they start it this summer, is it going to be done in time for school to start again? Is this going to cause a hardship for recess and teachers and?
I guess I also have a question whether this is under us or whether they get to choose this. I mean,
school committee?
what is our
Responsibility?
authority here?
Do
Because
you?
They
it-
contacted the town and asked, because it's a fixture at the school.
Oh,
Does the town own the
because it's a
building?
town fixture right now. I'm not sure.
And then one more request in their letter was that they were hoping to have a silent auction to sell off the equipment for either scrap value or for someone to take it away and repurpose it as a playground somewhere else. But June notes that anything that they realize from a donation would go back into our general fund, not
It can't be earmarked.
can't be earmarked for
For
the
them
project.
to use, it'd be the same way as selling a cruiser. You can't.
Yeah, and if you get,
You can't donate it back?
The
We would have to-
townspeople could.
We would have to go through town meeting.
Yeah, it would have to go to town meeting, you can't just, you know.
Fall
Yeah.
meeting.
so with all of these questions,
Should we have them in for our
should we
next
either
meeting?
have them
Yes.
in, or would you like me to
Well,
make some phone calls?
Yeah, start there and.
Talk
Start there.
to Bob Conry, the finance director, and see what's the story, and maybe answer some of these questions.
Yeah, so find out about timing,
Okay,
Yeah, let them know about the money issue.
Right.
And how that would have to happen if it was gonna happen. and,
okay,
um,
all right. I will do that.
Okay. I'm sure people would buy that slide. I have friends that I know that
I think they-
we'd all pitch in to buy that slide and stick it in somene's
Didn't they
yard.
say a couple of people already wanted it?
Oh,
That's why
there's
they
a
were
ton of
thinking
us
about
that
it.
want
Yeah.
that slide.
Well, the thing you have to,
That's memories.
Okay.
That's memories of
So when she
skin.
comes in with the cast on her arm, we know what happened.
That is true. Peg fell off the slide.
well, I wonder,
Long sleeve
Mm-hmm.
and pants.
I mean, you have to remember too, that the playground is actually, and that is the question, I guess, is it school property, is it town property?
Well,
I
That's
think
sort of
it's-
what I was asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't personally know, so,
Because if they're, yeah, so I'll find that out.
yeah.
I'll find that out.
Because if it's theirs, then.
They can do what they
They
want,
can do whatever
yeah.
they want.
Oh, right.
Um,
I'm assuming because they're asking that they may think it's our property.
Or they may
Maybe they
just be
just want to be
covering
good
their
neighbors.
bases and,
Yeah, they just want to be good neighbors and ask. Because
Okay.
I'm sure if the playground isn't ready, then the parents will show up.
Blame us?
Well, yes, or show up at the next town meeting totally irate, that there's no place for their children to safely play.
Okay, so I will ask the questions we just talked about and follow up with that at the next meeting.
And can you find how much the slide is? Just ask them for a friend.
Well, it sounds like they were gonna auction, so you just need to get your little bid thing there.
Okay.
All right. Next, we're moving on to the approval of the job description and the advertisement for highway facilities superintendent position. We've had several meetings, we've gone over this several times. So I believe
good?
it looked good to
Yeah.
me.
Okay.
Looked good to you too?
Yep. I think we did a good job
Keith
from
was
last
happy?
week. Yep.
Yep. We got the
Okay.
feedback from the highway superintendent. So do I hear a motion to approve the advertisement and the job description?
Motion to approve.
Question. Sorry.
You can have a question after. we,
Oh, okay,
second.
seconded.
Okay.
Any
Questions? The question I read somewhere, right there, he also thought that salary range should be included in the ad? Yes, no?
That was something I did not know. I got the gist from both of you at the last meeting that you didn't want to put it in the ad. It's been done both ways. We do need to decide on a salary range.
Yeah.
So whether we could decide tonight and put it in the ad.
Right.
I would rather do my research than put it in the ad.
Correct. Because, yeah, I
I mean,
don't
I
want to
have
offer up a
sort of
boatload of
an
money, and I don't want to shortchange us either, and we
Yeah.
get,
And you can look online to see, I believe, how much Keith makes. So it's going to be,
Yeah.
ish.
Yeah, and normally, you base the salary of the person based on what they're getting
Oh, yeah.
currently too.
Correct. As
so-
long as you have a range, a high and a low.
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Well, then come back to the next meeting with a range that you all want to talk about.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Put that on the next agenda too.
Yep.
The other, so we had a second.
Motion.
Yes.
Second.
Anything else?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Madam Chairman, do you have a committee to select the next highway superintendent?
That was my next subject I was gonna bring up was,
Did you look at our agenda ahead of time?
No,
Just
I
saying,
didn't,
because
but
you're
I'll
just like
volunteer
feeding
for
us
that.
here? Okay.
Yeah.
so that would be the next thing too. And I think I was talking to Mary today about getting the ad out, the date by which we could ask the applicants,
July 16th is a Monday.
The applications
so
to be
It
in.
would give 2 full weekends for people to apply because you've got the 4th of July holiday interrupting one of the weeks anyhow.
Yep.
And then you wouldn't get anything done on a Friday anyhow, so start on a Monday, and then if you had a committee assembled for that week, they could start the week of the 16th to review applications and maybe interview the next week before the board's next meeting. And then if you gave an offer letter, that would give someone 2 more weeks to give their notice, or 3, and still provide the 2 weeks overlap with Keith if you wanted that at the end of August.
And then if we had a little bit of a holdup, we'd still have time.
A little bit of a buffer.
Yeah.
Yep. So sooner rather than
So do
later,
you
so if you
think-
approved it tonight, I would send it out to Maya tonight, MMA tonight, and the Telegram and Gazette. And also
then-
ask the webmaster to put it up online so it can go up on Facebook and Twitter.
Okay, and then and they would have a due date of July 16th.
Yep.
And then at that particular, do we have a meeting on the 16th?
No,
No.
Okay, so we have a meeting on the 23rd.
but all the assembled resumes could just be handed off to a committee if you had
Right.
someone who could meet that week.
Right. So at the 9th, we could discuss the makeup of this committee. What, we had talked a little bit about possibly having the selectmen or selectman representative or something be on that committee. And then, so that to help the fact that there isn't a lot of time, rather than have a committee like we did with you, Joe, and then we brought, the next group came in and interviewed.
Yeah.
We might be able to do it sort of together. So we will put that also on the agenda for a decision on the 9th.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, Walter? Pretty much, the
Yes,
9th?
only, yeah. I would just say it would be good to have, whether it's me or not, a Michael Sawyer or a Skip Sawyer, somebody who knows equipment, knows the real needs, knows snow plowing, knows, instead of, as well informed as you are, not many of you have driven trucks and understand storage and
No, we'll admit to
bulldozers
that.
and loaders, and it's really important that we have someone who is down to earth and a worker.
Okay,
That's
thanks.
all.
Thanks. All righty. Moving on. Permission for the admin secretary to attend couple of seminars.
Yep. There's 3 of them. One in a Maya one on July 3rd, which Chris, you thought that maybe you would want to go to.
Yeah.
In Westboro, which looks like it's just ducking up for a couple hours, actually. It's not even a full day. Thursday, July 11th is another one for procurement law training on real estate procurement, buying and disposing of surplus property. And then the third one being August 1st in Leominster for ABCC training in advance of the coming liquor license renewal season.
Okay.
That, the North Attleboro one is a full day. Leominster starts at 10, so that really kind of blows apart a good part of the day, and probably would be a full day
Okay,
out of the office,
Um,
but not the July 3rd.
let's see, it's a Tuesdays,
Yep.
a Thursday,
None of them really come buttoned
and a
right up against a
Wednesday.
meeting.
Okay.
So the
it
second
is-
2 would result in the office being closed.
Do,
And the cost for all 3? Or each?
The Maya seminar, I think, is free. The MCPPO training is $200. The ABCC training is free. Procurement law is always a charge.
okay. Any other questions?
And then mileage, but no parking, looks like, for any of these, or other fees.
Do I hear motion?
A motion to approve.
Seconded.
Okay. Anything else? All-
Just share. Just share what you have for handouts, pass
Yep.
them back around.
Yep, we
All
can do
right.
that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alrighty. We're working, now we're gonna put the Personnel Committee hat on, or actually, it's the Selectmen to talk about the role of the Personnel Committee. The document that Peg worked on. I did not see a problem. How about you?
No.
Mm-mm.
So this was pretty much the job description for, or I guess you call it a job description of what the role of the superintendent. Boy, that's going back. Personnel Committee is. And if you don't have any questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye. Okay.
All right, then we can talk
Now
about.
if they can start tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to, oh, I know, I was going to ask Mary, did you get any feedback from anyone on the personnel performance review?
No, I didn't send it.
Oh, you didn't send it
We
out?
didn't send it because you had sent along the gigantic ones from the other towns too, correct?
Yes, that I did.
So I think there was the decision whether we were
Ah.
gonna go with the New Berlin version or go
Right.
with the
Oh,
ones
you're
that you
covering for me.
provided.
I did not send out your draft, which I was supposed to send out, but.
But that's okay, I mean, timing is what it is, you know.
All right.
If you want to consider what, well, the other one just really added a manager level type of form.
Yeah, but the other one that I liked, because it had an opportunity for you, the employee, to rate yourself, and for the manager to rate yourself. And there was also an employee to put down goals, which, to me, is something that we all should be doing. If you're gonna rate me a 4 or a 5, well, that's great, what do I do next year? Well, I'm a 4 or 5, well, what did I do? So even though the other one is larger, I like that one because it puts more accountability back on the supervisors or managers, department heads, whatever you want to call them, to really rate their person, to really understand what they're doing, and for the person to rate themselves. Because if I think I'm a superstar and I'm a 5, and you think that I'm god-awful and I'm a 2, we have a giant disconnect. So that document, I think, will help to build those with an opportunity truly for department head and person to sit down and have a chat about how am I doing, what am I going to be doing, where am I going, oh, do I need training next year? Oh, well, how do I do that? So there's a whole performance plan in place so that in the event, and I think there was a 6-month interim review in the giant docs, to take a look at it and be like, hey, Chris, we had talked about, oh, yeah, I haven't done anything. Well, why haven't, so, I mean, you stop that before it gets to the review where you go, ugh, 2. You know, well, wait a minute, 2. I like the larger version myself.
Does that need to be customized at all for us?
There was some stuff in it, but I think it's generically specific enough that if we passed it out now for like rough drafts, input, and again, give them a time to say, have it back by, pick a date on the calendar, and if you don't provide input, then we're gonna assume you approved it, so guess what? Now we're gonna hand it out to you and say, here you go.
Do you think you need training on that then? Because it's going to be a change for department heads?
It's pretty self-explanatory. If you've been in any type of management, you can read the document and understand what the qualifications are for a 1 through whatever it is.
So your suggestion is?
The gigantic ones that we'll have to go through, that Mary, because I think they even gave guides on how to fill them out, which is kind of cute, that we send those out to the department heads and say, pick a date. July 13th? I mean, I want to give time for people to review them and to give valid input.
The
Today's,
9th,
oh, the 25th? No, that
and
won't
the
give enough
23rd.
time.
So-
Say the 20th? Because the week of July 4th, that's a blown week. No one's really around.
Right.
So you give them 2 weeks after that and say, here's what we're proposing for a new performance review. And as a manager, it is your responsibility. Do not circle a 5 and write nothing. Do not circle a 2 and write nothing. I want to see information.
So July 18th is 2 weeks after the 4th of July. That's a Wednesday. You want that to be a deadline for responses. I gather everything I get and send it to the board
Yep.
Yes.
in advance of the 23rd.
Yep.
Okay.
And please make note, failure to respond means that you are basically approving this document. Cut, dry, clear, no one can come back and say,
According
oh my
to the
God, I didn't have enough time. Yes, according to the
All right.
selectmen at the table. Okay.
All right.
Just keep in mind it's the end of the year, just throwing
Oh.
that out to you.
When do you need some time?
Not so much me, all departments have to go, end of the year is July 15th, so they're
It's
not,
worse for you.
they lose stuff, so.
So do we
Do you
want to
want to
go
give
a
them
week
another
out?
week?
Yeah.
That help? Another week?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
would-
personally, I'm crazy anyway, so
25th?
it doesn't matter.
Yep.
All right.
25th?
so Another week.
See, I admit it.
You're in good company.
All right. Well, glad I brought that up. We're moving on now to whether to query elected officials. Anybody have?
Well, I read the ditty that you sent through today, and it looks like elected officials are exempt.
In Wilbraham. That was
Okay.
Wilbraham.
Well, the thing that I was flagging is not that whether elected or, in this case, all 3 of them were appointed. They weren't elected. What you highlighted was whether they were elected by the popular vote in town or whether they were voted at a town meeting. For all 3 of these, they were appointed. So I don't know, that's why I kind of held off on one of them doing a query check, because I didn't know if there was a difference between them being appointed.
And
They were not voted by the voters in either instance, at town meeting or in the ballot.
right,
They were by application to 2 boards who were
right, but
jointly
but the
appointed.
school would be voted at an election eventually. You know, should she run again? Right. The assessors is appointed.
No, elected.
Oh, elected. I'm sorry.
All 3 were elected.
That's right. What am I thinking? And the other one
Library
is-
trustee,
Yeah,
elected.
and elected. So,
Okay.
give me your feedback, Lisa.
Okay, query is normally done for positions that are either dealing with money
Children.
or children or elderly,
Yes.
No, all town employees.
all town employees.
Right.
These aren't town employees though, per se.
They are, they're on town payroll or town benefits.
Yeah. I think Dennis says
They all have employee numbers, they've
they're
been issued,
employees.
Okay.
If they get
Pretty sure.
any pay, then they're an employee.
or benefits.
But even, he keeps track of like volunteers
Well, like
too, doesn't he?
library, they don't
Not
get,
volunteers, but
um,
unpaid.
They don't get
No
paid.
stipend. Okay.
Yeah.
But they would not be interacting with children or the elderly or funds, correct?
Library would.
And school might.
Would the library trustees be interacting with actual children though?
If they're downstairs and helping the kids find a book there.
But that's not what they do. They set policy.
Right.
They don't actually go into the library and interact with children. Because if they did, then the library trustee who is elected would also have to have a Cory check.
It's not just a sex offender check, it's theft, it's any kind
Yeah.
of criminal record.
Yep.
So the
Past 10
problem is,
years.
if you find something in a Cory of an elected official, is there anything you could do? No. So,
I don't know in this instance, they weren't elected, they were appointed.
right.
Yeah. We also did not give them a heads up before they were appointed that they might be subject to a Cory.
Correct. And you really
So
can't
at this
go
point, I
back.
don't think that you can retroactively do that.
I don't think you can go back.
Perhaps not for this group, but maybe we know
Going
that now.
forward.
We could do
Okay.
that in the future if we're gonna appoint people that might actually be elected.
Yeah, I think I would prefer though to look at precedent and see how other communities might handle this before we make a decision, rather than doing that tonight.
Personal bylaws, who gets queried and who doesn't?
Employees.
It doesn't give specifics
No,
on the employee.
there's just a
No
note in
bylaws.
our selectmen's minutes from a couple of years ago that the board decided that they wouldn't do one for elected officials. But beyond that, in this instance, they're not elected officials.
Right, I guess,
I mean, their
I thought it was in the
positions are
bylaws.
otherwise usually elected, but there's a failure to elect in 2 instances. Maybe
So
that's
we-
parsing.
So we need to take the time to look again at
There-
information.
There aren't, I've been looking for town websites that address that head on. There isn't.
Maybe we'll reach out, see what other, do you want to help, like, reach out to any of these, couple of surrounding communities even? Lisa?
I mean, I guess I'm not thinking this is necessary just in general, but I can help with the research.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna say, if we're gonna decide that we're not gonna Cory them, then it's not an issue. So, but if you are going to, you may wanna do some research. So, I think
Where are we
the selectmen in a previous meeting years ago said they were not going to Cory anybody who's elected. And I know this is actually appointed this time, but they will be elected if they run again.
See, I was just given a Cory form in the
Right.
case of the assessors.
Right.
And I had it, and that's when I stopped and it said, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So,
otherwise,
I think
they're all-
Mary's really looking for direction on whether she needs
and
to.
in this case, once again, I would go back to they're already appointed. You
Yeah, it's
can't
already appointed, we can't
retroactively-
do anything, so the Cory, there isn't any, but going forward,
Yeah.
I would say anybody who's appointed, we let them know that they're subject to Cory, and if something comes up, depending what it is, we may or may not appoint them.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
And they have a right to rebut too, if you find something on you, if you pull up something,
Right.
yeah, so.
do.
Okay.
Okay. Is that clear to everybody?
Yeah.
Clear as mud.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay. All right. Oh, gosh, what agenda am I looking at here?
So we're on C, for the request to carry over Sterling DPW vacation time for Brian.
Yeah. All right. So we have a new highway employee. And Keith has asked that the new highway employee be allowed to carry over his Sterling DPW vacation time, starting July 1, I believe.
So this is basically, he would just, rather than accruing through the year, he would get his 2 weeks or whatever it is to start. Is that what we're deciding?
Yes.
And are we paying him? So we'd be paying him?
Yes, through the vacation that he would take if he took it. Am I correct? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Okay.
So I mean, if he has 2 weeks coming over from the other town, and we give it to him, he's already been paid by the other town, so are we repaying him? Or is he?
Been,
We don't think that
No,
he's,
this is just giving him, this is giving him credit, so instead of him starting with no vacation time, you don't get you have to work 2 years in the town before you get 2 weeks.
Right.
So what he's asking is to get 2 weeks vacation when he's starting, that he will be able to use next year. paid.
So will he start accruing it July?
No accruing.
No, okay. Gotcha.
Unpaid.
All right.
Paid, I believe,
Paid,
is the way that-
paid.
Yep.
Okay, so do the other the highway employees accrue, or do they just get 2 weeks at the
Accrue
beginning?
Based on the bylaws.
So it would be
Okay.
as if he'd already been here for,
2 years.
2
It's-
years.
It's saying that where he worked in another town, that you're using his other town as credited years
yeah.
in his
Okay,
position.
but then he would start accruing for this year.
So then that
Okay.
means he gets
I
3
mean,
weeks.
I'm fine if he gets
Just 2 weeks
2
this year.
weeks this year.
Yep.
Well, see, yeah, well, see, technically, you would be jumping it because you have to work 2 years here to get 2 weeks. So normally, when you start working in the town of Berlin, you don't get 1 week's vacation until you've been here a whole year. Then you get.
So what if we were to give him 1 week of vacation, and then he would start accruing and eventually get to 2 weeks in the first year? No?
It's totally not what's in the bylaw, so it would be.
Okay. All right, ladies.
So we give people no vacation in the first year.
Correct.
We're kind of mean. That's what I mean. And I just think
We'll
think
put
people.
that on the list to
I just
review,
think
but-
people.
You can put that on your list.
It is on the
People work
list.
better if they have a vacation.
To coming and have something to look forward to?
Yeah, and just clear their heads. But that's my,
And I'm going to assume precedence has already been set and we've done this for others.
well.
We have done
Joe-
it for department heads, not necessarily.
A regular
Well,
person.
I shouldn't say that. We did do it once with a normal employee for a custodian that came to work here, but he worked at the school. And they allotted the hours that he put in at the school to carry over to the town to get vacation time based on that. Department heads, we have done it
Okay.
with other departments. Assessor, Joe, we're taking accredited hours from other towns. But both of them are department heads, not employees.
And you can't think of any other employees besides the custodian?
Not that I'm aware of. That doesn't
Okay.
mean it hasn't happened, I'm just not aware of it.
Do we know how many folks are sitting in the bucket of they're in their first year and they have no vacation time and here comes new person with 1 or 2 weeks?
It was questioned by others who have been here for a while.
This
I don't
particular?
know what's in the union contract. I don't know if the union contracts, if the guys get an automatic, because
I don't know
I don't
offhand.
know if they just get one the first year. I didn't look at that before I came.
Okay,
You
so
go pull
we'd
the
need to look
contract
at
and-
police and just police is union, right?
Yeah,
For that.
I mean, I can go look at the contract and see.
Can you quick, yeah, please, somebody?
Well, there was also a stipulation, like for Joe's, that if you used it within the first 6 months, and then you left the job, or
You paid it
You
back.
would
you
have to
paid
pay
it back. Right.
Yeah, but we could also just do your basic accrual like everybody else does, right? We could start, when he starts accruing.
Mm-hmm. Because otherwise, what would you do? You'd have to, would you be accruing in addition to the 2 weeks?
I would
No.
say no, but technically,
I mean-
I guess it
Because of the
wasn't addressed.
bylaw.
But by our bylaw, you have to work 2 years.
Right.
So technically, after he's been here a year,
He
by
has
our
3
bylaws,
weeks.
it would only be 1 week.
But if we allow him,
he gets
Stephen's
3.
even aware of all
Would you be,
this.
or would you just say that he gets 2 weeks this year and next year?
Period.
And then he
Period.
would have to go
Yeah.
by, I don't, it's odd.
Yeah.
That to me sounds more equitable
That's ridiculous.
than,
Yeah.
So-
hey, I got 2 weeks and,
So
oh, look, I've been
in-
here a year, now I got 3.
So in the
Right.
police union contract, they actually accrue, they earn it. A
Yeah,
half a day at the end of each month that they work. up to 5 days
The
for
first
that year. And then they're given 10 days, so they're given 2 weeks after 1 year. But that's union contract.
Until year 5. And then the 6th year credited with 15 days.
So it's a little
3
different
weeks
than what the
vacation.
bylaws are. But that's a union contract, that's not a,
Mhm.
Town.
Okay.
I mean, it's a pretty normal thing to have somebody come in and,
I mean, I've heard of people coming in and saying, I have a vacation already planned, can I take off vacation time, but you don't, it's not paid, but.
Right.
Yeah, this to me, he already knew that he had 2 weeks in the bag. And then, hi, I'm an
now you
employee.
have none here.
Can I have my time?
I don't even know whether he asked for it. Keith may be just offering. I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that.
We could always put this off, look into it further, talk to Keith,
okay.
and,
Yeah, because either way, we're gonna have to update the personnel bylaws because we.
right, I mean, it's not like you want to start something if it hasn't been started already.
Agreed.
Okay.
So, you want me to talk to
Pause.
Keith?
Yep.
Pause.
All right,
Pause.
all right, just let me write that note down so I don't forget.
We move to pause.
Yep.
All right. Okay. The next thing on this agenda is the creation of a running town request portal for state funding for legislators. Now, did I send you guys, Mary had suggested having, I guess it was a Google Doc, where you have like all of the line items like in the budget and see, or not all of them, but most of them. And then people could actually see it, fill it out, that kind of thing, if you shared it with them. Or we could keep it for us to see, and fill it out as the requests came in. Or do you have?
I mean, there's no problem with people viewing it. We can just give them view access.
Right.
I think they have to go through the board so that we can prioritize things appropriately.
Yes.
But there's no issue with inviting people to view it.
Well, at least then, even if you don't have it prioritized, you could actually have the list,
Mhm.
and then if there is a request for information from a legislator,
We
then
have the
you
list,
just
yeah.
then prioritize it.
Yeah, I actually did. I think I may have put a slot in there in progress in the team drive.
Okay.
So there's nothing we miss.
So does that work for all of you?
So they would send me what they want and I would put it into that document.
Okay.
And I don't think I made a document. I just put a spot for it, I think. If not, you can certainly put one in there.
Is that fine? All right. Okay. Planning, scheduling a department head meeting, subject matter for the agenda. Peg, you had brought up, suggested that we may like to have a department head meeting.
I would. I mean, as the newbie, I see all the emails and, requests for money and, oh, we forgot this and, oh, we forgot that. We didn't do this and we didn't do that. And again, maybe there is, but to me, there's no oversight. There's no accountability. Chief Galvin was the one saying, in June, you pass out your reports, people are just like,
You mean, you're talking budget now?
budget, but everything.
Oh.
Everything needs to go on so that if there's personnel issues, they're taken care of. If there's discussions between conservation and Board of Health, there's all this. So instead of everyone running around and trying to go to the different meetings and, oh my God, I've got 3 meetings on the same night, we all come together and we make an agenda. You send it out to the department heads and say, we're going to have a meeting on X date. What do you want for topics? Boom, 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 boom. And then we prioritize them in this way. Notes are taken, minutes are out there, people know what's going on. So there's transparency, there's no secrecy, there's no work, I don't think people are working in the dark, but I think people are like, oh yeah, I gotta take care of that. And then they don't tell their teammate. So I'm off and running, and then you look at it and go, what are you doing? So that's just what I saw about that, so that A, we get finance under control, and we stop the, oops, I forgot to add it in the budget. Oops, I've gone over my budget. I don't understand how that happens. If you run a home, you don't go to your neighbor and go, Chris, I forgot to pay my oil bill, can you give me $1,200? Yeah, that, and then just communication, stop this and do this.
Are you thinking like every 6 months, every
Quarter.
quarter?
I think every quarter to start, and maybe for the first ones, and things are getting fine, and then expand it out. But I think if we go 6 months in the beginning, people aren't going to pay that much attention to it. To me, that would show that you're not that serious about it if we're doing it every 6 months. We have a kickoff in the beginning of the year now, as we go into this new fiscal year, and then 3 months out, and then 3 months out, and see where we are, and then boom, we're into 2019.
What do you see as perhaps anything more specific that you'd like to say, this is what we think we should talk about, or do you really want them to come up with the ideas?
I want them. I want it to be collaborative. I want them to come to us with...
We might get nothing.
Well, then you know what? If we don't get anything, then we dictate it, and maybe that's part of the message, is that, I don't know what's going on in conservation. I don't know what's going in June's office until I go in and I sit down with her. But if she comes up with her magical list, oh my God, I didn't realize this was there. So put the onus back on the department heads.
Just an FYI too, is that we, at one time, used to do budget kickoffs.
Yep.
And nobody showed.
Really?
So, I am 100% behind you on trying to get the departments together for this, especially for finance. But somehow we'd have to do it a little bit differently than what we did in the past, because like I said, we used to do budget kickoffs where we have one during the day and one at night. During the day they would show, at night you're lucky if you got 1 or 2 departments that showed up. So it stopped.
Sure.
But a lot of the stuff that was said was the same thing year after year after year, and unfortunately, what's being said isn't necessarily what's happening when it comes to Selectmen, Finance Committee, so I think, and personnel. So I think we, as departments, I'm not speaking for everybody, but just from what I'm seeing, we actually need to get Finance Committee, Selectmen, and personnel working too for the budget purposes, not so much like with the Walter or Board of Appeals or anything like that, but as far as the financial end of things, I don't know how to go about that, but so I'm all for it.
So,
I don't know how you would go about doing it so you can have a lot of participation.
Yeah, and the other thing is asking committee chairs on that who already are spending a lot of time coming to meetings, it is asking a lot to have them have 4 more meetings even in a year as volunteers. Employees, I think it's different, but as volunteers, I think we need to be really careful how much we're asking.
But we also need to get them more involved. For me, financially,
absolutely. Yeah.
all the volunteers really, and I don't know, there might be something I need to do on my end, but I know for the volunteers, that's one of the major problems that we do have.
Yeah.
And I don't know if
But
it's
maybe
just
from
not
that
aware.
point, we do a budget kickoff for the chairs of the committees or something of that effect, or.
I don't think we could try one
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
see how it goes.
So during the day for employees maybe, and anybody who can't make the night one, and then a night one for volunteers? Or-
Or would you like to get department heads and the chairs all in one room at the same time? So you'd want somebody from CBA, planning, whatever, you get the chairs from them, then you have any of the department heads that are here going to that meeting, so it's kind of more all-inclusive that way.
I might want to try
Then
it
it
at
has to be
night
at
the
night.
first
I was
time.
just
It
gonna
has
say
to be
that
at
your
night.
night might be the best way to go for that. Because typically on a monthly basis, the department heads get together anyway down in the fire department on the first Tuesday in the morning. And we go through a round table with all of us, and that's on a monthly basis. And then, but if you want to get ahead with the committee and boards, and get their heads for that, then I would say do an evening one and get all the department heads to commit to that as well.
Have you been to the department head meeting that
No,
they
I
have
have
once a
not.
month?
Mm-mm.
You might,
So
Tuesday
first,
we'd have
first
a
Tuesday of the
It's
month.
worth-
first
Well, you're-
Tuesday
you're
of the
actually
month, but
working.
you're working, so it
I'll
might be
switch 'em.
difficult.
Yeah. What time?
Yeah.
Is it
Well,
It's at
there's
10.
10 o'clock for the department heads, and there's an inspector's meeting at 9.
Oh, that's right. But I would say the first time, if you wanted to do this,
Mhm.
the evening meeting, I think you'd want to do it in the evening.
Yeah.
Because I
Mhm.
think we found that some of the people that work during the day would come in at night, but the ones that,
Can't, they're
Can't.
usually
Right.
volunteers,
They have
full-time
jobs.
Right.
And you probably want to pick an off night, like, you know, we always have a bunch of boards on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you know, maybe do like a Thursday night, that way they're,
yeah,
you know,
That's
you're
when
not gonna
town
worry about.
officers' meetings historically have happened as Thursday nights.
yep.
Yeah, that way there it doesn't interfere with.
Can we bring food? That would bring people in.
That's
good
what
too.
my next thing was gonna
Pizza.
be, is I think, yeah, maybe
Pizza.
we could say, come, we're having pizza,
Yeah.
you know, or
Or
something.
even if you did it as a
Heineken.
round table, maybe instead of.
Heineken?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, hit topics, but do it so it's a little bit not as formal.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Or even get, you know, you might have a chance for, I mean, you don't want to do any illegal chatting or anything,
No.
but, you know, it wouldn't be, I guess, if it's all department heads. But say conservation could talk to the you know,
Just that
Board of Health,
everyone's in the
whatever.
know. Yeah.
Right,
More of like a staff meeting, not
Yeah.
necessarily
Yes.
a voting time or anything.
right.
I don't know if there's a difference though in open
It's just
meeting
quorums.
laws.
Well, if you're just doing
just
chairs
posted a
or
meeting.
chair representatives.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or
I
book
guess,
a meet and greet and
right.
get on the same wavelength.
But if you just posted it as a meeting, right? It would be
I mean, you
or
could.
no.
You could also do that. Everybody could post a meeting, but that's also,
I think if the-
there's at one point you get so many people that it's not gonna be productive
Yeah.
either.
Well, the thing is too, is you don't want to get a majority for each committee or
Right.
board in the same room, where people possibly could construe that as making decisions
Right.
without really, that's not the objective here.
You had something?
Well, just that if you're gonna have some kind of a joint meeting, let's say, and one of your hopes was to include the Conservation Commission and the Board of Health, if you want them to talk, you're really gonna have to post a meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because they have the ability to vote. And there is some danger in that.
mm-hmm,
But you might want to just post the meeting for chairs only. You know, rather than posting
You
a,
can, but I'm finding sometimes the chairs, it may not always get back to the rest of the group sometimes.
that's true.
Town officer meetings have been televised before, too. I mean, that's one way to get the entire message back to the boards and committees, presuming they watch the tape.
been good feedback. Thanks for all this feedback, this is great.
Okay. I mean, I can take a stab at writing something up and then send it to the three of you,
Mm-hmm.
and then we can whiz it out to everybody and see what it is, and label it as a round table.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
round
mean,
table.
No decisions will be made. This is an opportunity to talk and find out what's going on and what we need to tackle as a town together.
Yeah, but if you are gonna have quorum in the room, every single
would have
one who
to
has quorum
warn them
has
to
to post
post.
a meeting.
But
Right.
it wouldn't be bad, I mean, if you know as a group,
Yeah,
conservation happened to say, hey, we're gonna go to that meeting, then you could just
Yeah.
post it, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean.
I just wanna make sure that we make it
Yeah.
very clear that if you're gonna have quorum in the room, post the meeting.
Right.
Mhm.
And take minutes.
Mhm.
if they've posted a meeting, yes.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Hope that's helpful.
Yeah,
It's a start, and that's my goal, is that it's a start, it's a small step, and maybe more people will partake and more people will get involved, so we avoid the disagreements, we all get on the same page. We all support the town, we all need to act like we're supporting the town.
alrighty. What are we looking at here? Cable?
Yes.
Alright. So, we have a letter,
Another letter for the cable, or did we get that squared?
well, did you want to come up and talk to us about it, since he's on
Make
the-
sure you leave yourself on camera there, Mr. Bradley.
The cable committee meeting met on Thursday, and we had all been talking about because we didn't oversight of not presenting a budget. I don't know whose fault it was, but
Doesn't matter at this point.
right. For us to operate in the period between now and whenever the fall town meeting.
If we're hopefully going to have one.
Well, we had talked about a $2,000 to cover the 4 months, and that would not be enough. Just based on the station manager's salary, that would be about $3,400. That doesn't include the other production assistant that we pay, and so I came up with a number of 4,000. I don't know if I didn't talk to the board about this, but I have a letter from Brittany explaining that right there. I don't know if you have that letter.
Nope. Do you want me to read it out loud? Is that okay?
Sure.
Sure.
It's short.
Okay. Dear Cable Access Committee, after our discussion, this was after a discussion I assume you had with Brittany.
Yep.
Regarding the Berlin Cable Access FY19 budget effective July 1 until the anticipated special town meeting in the fall, I reviewed expected services and invoices that would be submitted during that time. With a total budget of $2,000 for an estimated 4 months, Cable Access would be unable to settle all of its expenses in that time. Based on estimates, total for my invoices alone would be roughly $3,400. Additional expenses for that time period would also include another vendor who is providing services through September and the video production assistant position. As I stated during our discussion, I am willing to suspend the submission of invoices during that period of time, during that time period, to ensure that Cable Access can remain within its $2,000 budget and remain operational. However, due to the changes and circumstances in my agreement with Berlin Cable Access Committee, my hourly rate is increasing to $40 effective July 1. So it looks like $3,400 would only cover
The 4 months.
the 4 months for Brittany.
Correct.
And in between July 1 and...
September.
No, between July 1 and, say, our town meeting.
Yep. Well, we weren't sure when.
What do you suspect, what are your expenses?
For the
or are there any?
For the production assistant.
Well, for anything other than Brittany.
Well, there's part-time employees and there's a production. She's a subcontractor like Brittany. And Brittany had figured at the maximum for her like $340 a month for the production manager or assistant.
Mm-hmm.
And then it varies for the part-time.
Okay.
I don't know exactly.
But can you do without that, or would you like that to be included?
Well, I just wanted to make sure that there's enough funding for us to continue till town meeting.
Okay.
Not knowing when town meeting was.
Right.
Or is going to be. Yeah. I just came up with that figure because that would cover Brittany's salary and some part-time salary.
Okay.
The $4,000. Not knowing even if that's
Right.
enough.
Right.
So.
It's not a salary, she's contracted, or she's
Right.
actually a company that we deal with, she is not salaried employee.
Right. 1099, is that what that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So can we reduce, not that I want to see anybody's time reduced, but I mean, if we give 4,000, then we're totally out of our budget for the personnel committee budget, isn't it?
No, it'd be the selectmen expense budget is what the proposal was.
And the
Okay.
selectmen expense budget has,
At this moment, unspent for this year is $4,800, and I was asking for $800 to hang around just for me to make a large paper order. So this year, to free up money for line item transfers, I was gonna suggest to you later in your agenda that you free up $4,000 of the selectmen's expense budget this year to help pay other fiscal year 18 bills. But in 19, in theory, if that was the same spend rate, you would be able to make it to special town meeting where there could finally be an appropriation from the cable funds and put it back into the selectmen expense.
The money is there, it's just that,
We can't
because
touch
we,
it.
right, because
Yes.
of,
We'd only be at the
the-
half-year
Yeah.
mark, so I mean, I would think that you should be fine with that.
so we would be fine with the 4,000
Yeah, figure.
coming from FY,
19 selectmen expenses.
okay.
With an agreement
Okay.
that, to the degree that they have any control over a town meeting vote, but that they would support it.
Oh, yeah.
There is, I guess, a risk that town meeting wouldn't support that appropriation, right?
It could happen, it's money there, it's just a matter of appropriating it for use.
Right.
It's
And
not
that money
taxpayer
would be-
it's Cable.
hopefully voted in to repay the selectmen expense.
Okay.
So who would be watching the $4,000 to make sure that all of a sudden it didn't grow to?
The
June.
cable should be watching that.
Everybody's pointing fingers.
I am the double checker.
She's a double checker.
So then really it's cable's responsibility to make sure that
We don't go over the
you don't go
4,000.
over.
Okay.
And we know where to find you, so.
Yeah,
maybe
we
give
do know
us
where,
a-
especially
give us a
Monday nights, we
periodic
know where to
update,
find
yeah.
you. Yep. So, with that said, do we need a motion to, well, does this
Motion
letter,
to sort of bridge
well, does this
line, or
letter
motion.
cover it? We just would change the number?
I think I.
Oh, you did?
I did,
Okay,
preemptively.
Okay.
so
Motion to,
initiate this letter
yes.
Move
and
money.
have us sign it. All right.
Seconded.
So I'd heard a second. And anything else? All in favor? Aye.
So we'll just rely on you to watch the budget and you to double check. And if we start to get close, somebody's got to raise a flag.
Well, I mean, it's gonna go into my spreadsheet that the money came out.
Technically, yes, they've got,
Yeah.
you've got the selectmen are
So
gonna have to
it's-
approve
yeah.
the
There's a-
expense.
It's all
There's
good,
a triple
everybody, everybody's watching.
check
Do you
on
want it
this
as a
one.
bill schedule then?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would say that the cable would have to authorize the charges, give it to the selectmen to actually.
Do you
approve it,
need
and then
this, or
assign
can we
it.
keep
As
it?
they go?
Yeah.
I
As
didn't
they
keep
go.
it, I have a electronic copy of it.
Okay.
Who actually does their bill schedules? Pat?
Now, wait a minute. Or should we be?
I don't know if it's Patty.
There's
Oh.
multiple ones.
There's two of them.
Oh, do I have to sign another one?
See, this would be a perfect topic for the C items, scheduling department head meetings to make sure
I'll
that
let you sign
things
that one, and then she
aren't
can sign it.
overlooked.
Now, does Pat and myself have to sign that as well?
Yes.
Yes,
And-
but you're gonna authorize giving the money back.
Okay.
Yeah.
She monthly? She's monthly? Brittany invoice monthly?
Yeah,
Usually.
usually.
Here you go, Mr. Bradley.
And then, do you want to get a signature? Are you planning to get a signature from Pat at some point? Or?
Yeah, she's just not here tonight.
Yeah.
Right.
She's
Okay.
actually on vacation, so when she comes back,
End
Two
of week,
pages.
right?
Yeah.
End
want-
of this week.
There's
There's
two
two.
of them.
Oh, there's 2 pages.
One for you and one for us.
And do you want me to just stick it in here and you'll
Yep, that's fine.
catch up with Pat at some point?
Yeah, or do you,
um,
you can send her my way. I'll send her an email.
okay,
Okay, then I'll just hang on to it here until
Thank
we
you,
get
sir.
Pat's
Thank you.
signature.
thank you.
Thank you. Alrighty. Now we're gonna do FY19 fiscal closeout. The Release of Board of Selectmen controlled account balances.
So you just need a letter agreeing to each cost center what sum is available, that's all.
If you have extra money.
Yeah, because we're not encumbering anything, this is money that's extra.
As of right now, I haven't gotten any responses from any departments except for streetlights. I know cemetery, but I haven't actually seen anything.
32B.
And I have to come up with snow and salt.
And she needs to kind of free up money for that July 9th meeting in order to
Right.
do line item transfers. So these are the balances that are left, and I've confirmed that we don't have any other payments to make out of those accounts. So if you wanted to free that up so that she had that in the kitty, it would help.
Okay. So it's expenses, 4,000, personnel, 5,000, festive events, $512, workers' comp, 12,586, police and fire, sickness and accident,
Yep.
right?
Right.
1,122. So, all right,
Motion to approve?
Seconded?
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
They need to make these lines longer or my name's shorter.
Yeah, I'd like to change mine to Peg because it takes me a while to sign Margaret, and I usually forget halfway through.
Yep.
Thank you. Alrighty.
All right, then we're gonna talk about the release of Board of Selectmen controlled special articles. And are these the ones?
I wrote explanations on each of them, taking my best guess as to
Okay.
what you'd want to do on each, but you can discuss that, and you can strike out if you don't like them.
Okay,
So where
so
there's a blue
first is
tab-
the radio-based stations.
Or you're gonna hit each sheet
Oh.
has its own tab.
Oh,
hanging
okay,
out
you're
where
talking
you'd
about
sign.
underneath then?
Yep, keep
All
going
right.
until you hit a page with the
Got
blue
it.
tab. Yep, that's the radio first.
Radio-based stations,
And so Chief
He said
Galvin
he might
hopes to actually
spend
spend
that
that
tomorrow.
this week.
Right.
Yeah.
so
So
we're
you
gonna
wanna keep that
leave-
open?
Yep,
Just-
I guess we're gonna keep that one open.
So you'd sign saying that.
Oh,
I think that's just you, though.
do we,
I checked off.
you guys are good with this?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna keep this one open.
Right.
Mary, wait.
Oh,
Wait, don't go.
Put that
Yes,
way?
back. Yes, ma'am.
That's the original.
And this is the 25th, isn't it?
Yes.
All right, this is the matching grants, which we also just
We
heard
need to keep open.
the Chief Galvin would like to leave open.
Yep.
All right. And signing means we're keeping it open, correct?
Yeah, if you're signing down below, yep.
Yep.
You might wanna, next year, think about.
Yeah, that
a-
was
a
what I
new
was gonna
special
ask.
article
We
because
need
it's
to-
It's very low now.
We need to.
Say that again?
We need to refund that, because
if
people
if you
use
look at
it.
what the
Oh,
balance is, I
yes.
think it's only like $500 or something like that, or is it?
The matching grants has got 2870.
All right, part of that was already earmarked, you allowed the fire department to use. So that's not all available right now, but you may wanna think about it because they, both fire and police have been using that.
Okay.
And depending on when it falls, it may not be replenished, so.
Well,
What-
wasn't it originally
That's what I was gonna ask.
15,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember off the top of my head, but
I'm
it's a
pretty
lot.
sure it was something like 15,000, but I don't know how many years ago that was.
It's been a while.
Well,
Yeah.
would we do that in spring then, or?
Probably in spring, right?
You may
Springtown
wanna think
meeting.
about it if we
For
have
fall?
special, maybe just,
Okay, let's put it on the special to talk about,
I
or
would,
in that bucket, and
I mean,
then.
that's up to you.
Okay,
It's
Okay.
something to think about, because it
Yeah.
seems to have been working lately on getting the grants, so.
all right. Add that to the bucket, Mary. The next one is curbing and sidewalk planning. which, is this the entire thing, $7,500?
That's all that's left.
Oh, it's all that's left. Okay. And
Keith says
keep
leave that
keep
open.
for complete streets work per highway superintendent.
That's what Keith said. I don't know what his plan was on it, though.
Right.
For some reason, I'm thinking it had to do with the grant, but that.
Complete streets work.
I don't know any other
Oh,
more
yeah.
detail than that.
Complete Streets, it's CMRPC, right?
Says
Mm.
Keith, but I don't know from Tim.
That would be Tim Wheeler. I don't know if it's CMRPC, but
Okay.
mm,
Yeah, it's a community compact thing. I don't know if we need, I don't know about the matching funds or whatever for that, but it is a community compact thing. So that's Complete Streets.
If you want to hold
Hold
talk
up.
to them
Yeah.
until the 9th.
so that's not too late? Okay.
Okay.
Should we hold on to that one,
And I
Okay.
can give him a heads up on Wednesday.
Lisa?
And- Yep.
So, hold on
Yep,
the
got that.
curbing and sidewalks. The next one is inspectors' tablets. Now, up
That would
that-
come from the new grant,
Yeah, that's gonna come
Okay.
out of the new one, yep.
so
All
we
right.
can close that one.
Okay. So I don't sign it then, because otherwise that means it's keeping it open,
No, I
correct?
think there's 2 spots to sign. There's a check off the box on the top that says that you no
There's a
longer
do
gonna
not
need
close
it. It's
out.
already,
This
Okay.
is no longer needed, so please close out and you can sign a date.
Okay, gotcha. Alright. And this one is the cost associated with hiring a new fire chief, $15,000. I believe we should keep this. We may be in need of it this year.
To hire a new fire
A new
chief.
fire chief.
Mhm.
We originally put this in when we didn't know that Chief Z was going to stay an additional year. So it's been there
it's actually
from...
been there since Chief Z came on.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and I'm speaking as finance, and I shouldn't do this, but as far as they're concerned, it should be closed out and re-asked.
Really?
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah. The problem is we need to open the search if we're gonna open a search
Right.
before a special town meeting.
At least it's not 10 years old.
That was their theory.
I know. But I think it probably would be a good idea to leave this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
In agreement?
yeah.
Okay.
I do believe that going forward, sunset dates are a thing, though. We should do them.
Yes. That's like talking out of both sides of your mouth, isn't it?
I know it is.
Alright, then we have the energy audit. And this is the money that was an article for an energy audit for BMS, municipal building, and
Town offices, with the public safety.
public safety. And I
nothing
believe,
was-
and I don't think anything was used in it, correct?
Well,
I'm
we
pretty
got-
sure it was not.
We got a grant
some
to do
reason
the
I'm-
Guardian stuff, right?
I'm thinking that it was an article that was done
Before Guardian came on?
before we were positive we were getting the grant. I'm not 100%
Okay.
certain. I'd have to look at the
I,
actual article.
I think this one can probably be closed,
Do you
right?
want to wait till the 9th to double check that?
Should we check, we'll check with energy?
Okay. That's only 2, that's not bad, that we don't know yet. And the Bullard House, I believe, is not going to be closed out at this point. And we did hear from Historical to say so, correct?
Since I'm here and you're signing off on that, I don't know if you all discussed or not to have somebody appointed to be in charge of overseeing that project, so we don't get into the same issue we had as the elevator.
Where it keeps going up and up and up.
Just somebody keeping track of what's going on and like a project manager, but somebody overseeing the whole project. not necessarily. the
You're talking
planning
about the
commission.
Bullard House.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
hoping for a building committee that was outside of the historical commission, frankly.
But we have to have one person who's overseeing the whole financial, because we cannot do another.
You know what you mean.
Agreed.
Okay. Town Hall elevator project. This is, the final payments are still outstanding, so I think we need to leave this for the moment.
Yeah, well, we can't close it out until it's paid for.
Right. Do we need a final vote for all of this?
No, you've done them along the way.
Okay. Great. All right. Scheduling an appointment with the Rail Trail Advisory Committee. They have sent, I guess it's a draft report.
Yeah.
And they want our feedback before they put it out to people. And I believe one member had a hip replacement or something.
Going to?
Mm-hmm, going to.
So we may want to put it off until at least after the middle of July, meeting with them. I don't know.
What's the first meeting after the middle of July?
The 13th. You have a site walk at Berlin Auto Parts.
The 23rd, isn't
I would
it?
say that, yeah, the 23rd.
The 9th and then the 23rd, correct?
Yeah, but after mid-July, the first meeting
Is the
is
23rd?
the 23rd.
Okay, I thought you said the 13th.
Oh, did I? I may have said that by mistake, sorry. 23rd.
Okay. So,
Should we-
I mean, we could at least check in with them to see if they're ready, I mean, healthy,
Yeah.
whatever.
Let's try for the 23rd.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see, we've got the 1870 Town Hall financial update. And the change orders 9, 10, and 11.
Yep, they have not sent that paperwork actually ever. I don't have the paperwork. So that's gonna have to wait until July 9th.
Which paperwork is that?
They sent me a boatload of papers, but nothing for that, the typical form that you would sign, that you're authorizing a change order. So, because I don't have them, they're
Yeah.
gonna have to resend them.
Let me look here through my pile because I might have copies of them.
Yeah, no, I put the same thing in there that I have.
I mean, so this where it says change order 2, is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, but there's an actual, in the,
Sheet.
Yeah, there was a sheet after that, I only printed the cover one. And I don't have it, but I only printed off the cover so that I could see the total cost.
I actually have emails, I just checked it again, of every single change order through 8. I don't think they've ever copied the selectman's office on 9, 10, or 11.
Okay.
See what I get here. This is not it.
Right, that's what I have.
Yeah.
And he keeps sending those when I ask for the.
I don't know if he doesn't know what you mean.
Oh, he knows. I sent him the other 8 we did.
Oh, he did. Oh, you did. Okay.
We've done, over the months, we did 1 through 8. He meant to send them,
Right.
but that's not what's there.
Okay. So, we're gonna have to wait on the change orders till
Yep.
the 9th.
Mhm.
All right. Would you like me to give you a quick synopsis of the meeting that I went to this week? They had 2 of the guys from Massabet there that are gonna be having the kids come in and do the work on the curatorial building. They're gonna start their work with the kids around September 1st with interior framing, landing and stairs, trim and siding, wiring for electrical and heating. Barry is looking into using an old wooden door on the front of the curatorial building versus a steel door, 'cause it has to be apparently the right size. And they were gonna contact the building inspector to talk about the use of one heating unit versus two, I believe.
I haven't heard from them yet.
Yeah, well, they probably will eventually in a month or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Because
guessing-
it's not on,
Yeah.
front burner, they're ready for their vacation right now.
I'm
Right.
guessing fire about that door too, but that's just a
Oh,
guess.
no, it will
It's
go
okay.
past, it'll go
All right.
through fire.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was asked to set up a town account at Concord Electric in Marlboro for electrical supplies for Al Mano at Assabet. I don't know, I think Mary or June, maybe you can help me do that, or
I guess.
it's just so that,
You'd be setting up just a charge account.
right,
Yeah.
okay. And I'm supposed to let them know, I guess, when that's done.
Do we still have one for National Lumber for them to finish up?
Yes,
Yeah,
they do
okay.
have one for National Lumber, but I guess they wanted to do it at Concord Electric for the electrical supplies.
Sure.
And that was about it. And we'll wait on the change orders.
As far as I know, as of right now, we still have not gotten any prices to finish up this project. And that we need to know ASAP.
Yes.
By the end of the year.
Did you get a copy of Thomas's report?
Yes.
Okay. His report was actually very accurate. He had a question about $4,257.71 for the copper water line replacement and the roof slate repair. And it was already a part of the $94,000.
The change
So,
orders. Yeah.
yes. However, the architect still has a final bill that I think was unpaid from several months ago or something. So that will be tacked on. So one thing's good, one thing's bad.
I think that all came to like 11,000.
Yeah, I think so.
It was, yeah.
Pat Smith said that the amount available from the grant is actually $24,200 rather than $24,000. So, I mean, the numbers are gonna be very tight for this curatorial building. I'm pretty certain that we can handle it. There may be some portion of it that will have to come out of the building maintenance again, things that are appropriate to come out of there. But it will be tight, but I think it can be done. Okay? Oh, and I did talk with Thomas today. He is available to go to the July 16th meeting in Boston,
Excellent.
the variance meeting for ADA for the 1870 Town Hall. So,
And you said you were going to.
Yes, I'll be there. I have the temporary certificate of occupancy that I issued for the building. And I have a few other things that I want to bring. But I've had discussions with the chairman of the Architectural Access Board, Tom Hopkins. So we'll go in there and meet. Should be a no-brainer. I mean, there's no way you're gonna make that entire building accessible.
right.
So it should be straightforward.
And
I think from what I saw from the architect package that he put together to go to the Architectural Access Board, everything looks really good.
Good. Yep, and Thomas said he didn't mind. It was, within walking distance or something from his work, and he would just make sure he's in Boston that day.
Okay.
So, all right. Where are we on this agenda now? Do we see a light at the end of the tunnel?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're to other new business.
So I have one.
Okay.
We're coming home Sunday and rescuing a giant snapping turtle on Crosby by the old McGurty house. While I was standing there stopping traffic and getting yelled at, Karen
Chandler.
thank you, came up to me and said, "Oh, you're the new selectman." And I immediately went,
No.
yes. No, she was just wondering, because I guess the smell from the SA farms over in Northborough, which abut her line, she said that the gentleman is on some type of probation till August, but she knows that he's doing stuff over there. Is Berlin doing anything about it? Are we working in hand in hand with Northborough? If not, can we? Because I guess people on Brigham Street are starting to complain about the smell as well, that they just can't sit outside. And I know from going up Whitney and taking that corner, it's horrid. And there's ducks that usually cross the street. The goat, I think they must have penned, or because I don't see him anymore. But I told her that I would follow up with you ladies and see if we were doing anything, and I would get back to her.
Gail and I walked the aqueduct the other night, and it was wicked over
It's
at the
bad.
other end there. And, but the other thing is, you know, I mean, her husband, former husband, Emerson, before he passed away, if anybody could have figured out how to deal with that, he could have, and he couldn't do it. So I don't know, you know, DEP or whether they overstep actual bounds or how it is, but it's very difficult to deal with. That they polluted Coolidge Brook
Yes.
to the point where...
And that's what she was saying.
Yeah, aquatic life won't live in it. It isn't harmful to humans, but no fish or anything will live in it. And they can't, I don't know what it takes to get that done, but maybe Selectmen, maybe Northborough and Berlin Selectmen working together might add a little push on it. It's a bad situation.
Do we have any, I mean, it's in Northborough, do we have anything that we
I
can
know
do?
that the neighbors that live around there, down in that area of town, all have a lawsuit against him. So that's one thing. I mean, I don't know if the neighbors are in Berlin are looking to do that. I know as the government entity that was looking down there, just from firsthand experience, that's been an ongoing problem for a very long time. And the gentleman that runs that farm, if you want to call it a farm, yeah, he knows his way in and out of the law, the little loopholes, just enough to continue to cause a problem without having to go back to jail. So he's on probation. I think it was 5 years for what he got arrested for with pollutants and whatnot in the ground over there.
And that's what Karen's concerned about, is that it's up in August.
Mm-hmm.
So is there anything we can do? Recommendations?
I mean, I would say from a town standpoint,
Berlin.
no, it would be more of a civil matter with the neighbors that are around there, is what it would come down to. Because I know in Northborough, we were checking into if there was any additional things being done, any new soils being brought on that would be contaminants and whatnot, but we didn't have anything, so. It's a difficult situation, but like I said, the neighbors that surround that property right now over on the Northborough side do have a lawsuit against him. I don't know if that's in a land court. I think it's a land use issue that they're dealing with over there.
Okay. All right.
You need to follow up with
I'll
Karen?
yeah, I'll go
Okay.
hang out on Crosby Road again and look for another turtle. Yep.
All right. Any
Um,
other?
New business? I was just, I guess this isn't new business, it's old business, but I was wondering if we got anywhere with the exempt versus non-exempt stuff. You had said you had actually looked at stuff and I had too, so.
Yes. So I actually sent a note into the MMPA. Hey, I found it online.
Yeah.
And reached out and put forth multiple questions. There was a gal who called me back, but it seems like she's more interested in selling us software packages on how to track mileage. Not what I wanted,
Okay.
not the questions that I asked, so I will keep pushing on that. But I sent you both the website that I found that had some information, so it's, you read a paragraph, you're like, oh, okay, this makes sense. You read another paragraph, it contradicts the one above it. It's like, oh, well, don't worry about it, except if you live in Massachusetts. And then if you had one of these, and you have to be one of those. So that's still very much in the works to reach out to them.
Yeah. And I did specifically for Joe, I asked him to look at the administrative exception and take the bullet points and put the things in his job that would fall under those bullet points to see if we could go at it from that direction.
Yeah. I mean, it did say for mileage that it definitely needs to be tracked. Time you start, time you stop, where you're going, why you're going.
Yeah.
Doop.
And we did have the police surplus car, though. Now,
Yeah.
how does that,
Well-
if you have a car, you don't pay mileage, of course.
Right, I mean,
No.
if he's
You-
using the car, then
Yeah,
if it's available.
Yeah, if a vehicle was allotted that day for doing inspections and
Right.
things like that, then, yeah, it wouldn't be tracked any mileage.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you use your car, you have to track mileage.
Yeah.
And we have to pay you for it.
Yeah. Got it, on it.
Okay, then.
Yeah, I mean, in going through Dennis's, I mean, I can leave you copies. I went through and highlighted areas which, it's pretty clear as to what exempt, no overtime means, hourly, what that means, rates and things like that. So I think that we can pull whatever out of here, put it together and modify our personnel section about what it is. So the next time an offer letter goes out, it's 40 hours, exempt, not eligible for overtime, you know, et cetera, so that we're very clear on
Mhm.
that.
I did make a quick printout if you guys are interested. It's got 3 little bullet points just upon what the qualification is, the criteria that you need to meet from the Department of Labor for salaried exempt, under administrative exemption. And it has actually the whole thing from the Department of Labor of what the administrative exemption includes. So everything from like when I do the budgeting for the departments and getting all that done, how much you could make, all that. So I touched upon it on these here. If you'd like them, I can give them to you. It's up to you.
Thank you.
I wonder if it's some of the stuff that I found too. Yeah.
Is it?
I mean,
sorta?
similar, because again, you know, here's the salary level test, and then you've got information in here too. It talked about specific management positions, how many people that you needed to manage, either full-time people or how many part-time people equal whole people, that, so I'm.
Oh, that has the part-time equal full-time people?
Yeah, there's a part-time equal whole people. Yeah,
I
so
imagine
two and a half employees equal 1 full-time person.
So 2.5 part-time?
Two half-time employees
Two half-time
equal
each.
1 full-time.
Okay. So we have,
Mhm.
he has 1.5 full-time, which still doesn't make 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, you know,
That
you
must
have
be the
to,
new math, huh?
right, you have to supervise 2 or more. Your primary responsibility is management, and you have genuine input into the job. So there you go.
Yeah.
Gotta have that genuine input, Joe.
Yeah. That's for executive.
Yes.
position. Yeah,
Yep.
and I knew we had problems with the employee portion of that, so I was looking at the other piece. That's why I went to administrative,
Okay.
to see if we could maybe.
Yeah, I had looked through them as well, just kind of doing my research, and I didn't know if I fell between either administrative or professional, and then the professional is made up of 2 different sections, which is more on like dealing with science and teaching type of thing. But I think more of it falls, from everything that I've read, in the administrative exemption. But I'll leave it to you.
Yeah.
Maybe you could
Yes.
get Mary to scan it in and send us a copy.
You betcha.
If we
Absolutely.
know where it is, it would be better probably if
The website?
I'm on their
the
website right now.
website, yeah.
All right, yeah,
If
just send
that's
me the
really small,
link.
and if you
Send
scan
me
it,
the
I'm
link
never
then.
gonna be able to read it.
Department of Labor link.
Fair Labor Standard,
Fair Labor Standards Act.
FLSA.com.
I have fact sheet number 17A, exemption for executive, administrative, professional, computer, and outside sales.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow, that put my research to, all right, go Mary.
Yeah, so I'll send
Okay.
it to you all.
All right,
Thank you.
and then maybe we can just kind of smush it together and come up with information to put in the guide. Okay.
Okay. Alrighty. That was old business, sort of, kind of?
Yeah, and Tim, as Energy, is fighting with National Grid. So
National
working on
Grid
it,
and
but-
what's the other company? The other
Well,
acronyms?
MAPC is all set.
Oh, okay,
We
good.
actually are in their queue for the grant.
Okay. All right, good.
So now it's the
Madam
battle of
Chairman,
it.
Before someone moves to adjourn.
No, I'm not done yet.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see here. Where's my paper? Oh, there it is. So I went to the last meeting, which, no, this isn't the right one. The Devon's dispatch meeting. They talked about the IMA and changing it to the dispatch agreement. We're trying to get our ducks in a row. There have been supposed to form a finance committee from certain people in the different towns, and I spoke with one of the suggestions is either the treasurer or the town accountant. So I did speak with Dennis and June. I think June might be more suited to being appointed as the finance person on the finance committee. Lucky June.
I could just see the excitement.
Yay, me.
And the good thing is, though, they're like quarterly meetings, they hope. But I was pleased that she agreed, correct?
As long as it's not on a Monday.
Right. There was discussion on whether to update the district agreement or to create bylaws. There's a grant available to help write the agreement if we decide to do the agreement, and Ross, the director, is to investigate. That's pretty much it for right now. I believe our next meeting was canceled because we can't achieve a quorum again.
In capital letters, it was canceled.
Yeah. And so I believe the next one is, I can't
Late
remember
July,
now.
whatever Wednesday's in late July, the 25th.
Yeah, that sounds right. July 25th. So, that was it.
I had one
Anybody
more.
else?
I just had one.
Mm-hmm.
This is the contract. Are we supposed to sign it for operation and maintenance service agreement for Whitewater for the library? I mean, there's.
Chris already
Oh, I
it.
signed it.
Oh, did you? So it's
I
all
did.
good?
Yep, it's
Yay.
all good. I signed it earlier this week.
Yay.
And Keith didn't sign it also, I don't think.
Keith
did he?
signed the one for this building.
Okay, that's right.
Okay.
Yep, we are good.
So we're good to go?
Yeah,
Library all good?
Well,
Okay.
yeah.
Alrighty, awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Selectmen's update. I think you're gonna fall asleep.
Yeah.
It's past your bedtime.
Yeah, well, I didn't take my allergy medication this
Oh,
morning either.
no.
I waited and I forgot until my hands started itching about noon. So, yeah, that's not
Not
helpful.
good. All right.
I got nothing.
Did you have something to add before we?
I certainly do.
All right.
I've got 20 things here.
Oh, no, no, no.
It's,
Time's a wasting here.
Hey, it isn't even 11 o'clock yet. We used to leave at
Oh,
11 o'clock
God.
when we were years ago. Yeah, I want to talk to you about the Historical Commission, but two things before that. I really think that if you're going to have someone picking a new highway superintendent, you should have somebody like Mike Sawyer, myself, Denny Bartlett, and one of two of you anyway, but, you know, have a person. But I can't tell you how important it is that to know, I mean, the difference between, you know, if we need a parking lot for a trail, or, you know, working on all the teams, the highway superintendent's got to think that he works for the community, under your orders, of course, but holistically. And I think we could tell whether someone's a good talker or actually has got a record of not performing, you know, on that. So I would volunteer to be on that committee. And the other thing is, I mean, it boggles my mind how we're building a new building for something when we've got we know we're gonna have 3 or 4 empty buildings around town that would have sufficed nicely to do the job. So I don't know if you're thinking about putting together a empty structure study committee to see what we're gonna do with these or not, but,
I believe
would
capital
volunteer to-
Capital planning is putting together something.
Capital planning is?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
David Westerling.
I believe that's part of their
Yeah.
mission.
Okay. And the other thing is, my curiosity is killing me. I volunteered for something and I haven't even heard from the board. What is going on?
Okay. Did you go to one of their meetings?
Huh?
Did you go to a historical
Yeah,
commission meeting?
yeah.
How did things go?
As far as I'm concerned, all right.
Okay.
You know, here's the thing. People say that I was a little rough on there. They've driven away so many volunteers, so many people. They've lost tens and thousands in money in doing things. I don't quit. All I want to do is be measured on outcomes. As we sit here today, that bullet house should have been done for almost zero. The volunteers, if you can imagine, the previous building inspector and I were going to structurally rehab that place. And he got the committee to vote to have me not show up, and the building inspector said, screw you. And off he went, to hell with you. And that's what we're dealing with. The oldest structure in town, the Hearst House, completely destroyed because of mismanagement. And the chairman had the audacity to put in the Powder House News that the weather did it. It was deceptive. It was a lie. Our collection should be way bigger. I've got thousands of dollars worth of old tool collections, many from Berlin. Other people have things. They don't contribute to the collection. I mean, Peg, you talked about oversight and accountability. There's never been any. In fact, not only hasn't performed, they've stifled and obstructed good things from happening. You know, I propose they wrote it out, a travel walking, driving tour for the town of Berlin, historical and ecological. Won't get any place. I mean, the simple things of these photographs out in the thing, that was my idea when I was chairman. You know, they got that up.
Barry did tell me that you had
Every week,
done that.
well, isn't that wonderful of them? Every week, there should be something on, or every month, there should be something on the Berlin Neighbors Connect. You saw those things I put on there. You wouldn't believe the response I get on that. What a thing to get. History, this Berlin's history is something I've been fascinated with since I was working fields and logging with horses in this town. I've been around this town a long time, and I love this town. The history, I'm as interested in that as I am the environment and the ecology. So what I will do, what I propose to do is offer ideas that won't get obstructed all the time. If they don't work, I'll simply put it in writing and let you people know what's going on. I'm not going to argue, and I'm not going to fight or anything else. You know, I'm 76 now, not 66, when I rebuilt and got the 1870 town hall. Pull that away from a certain individual. In 5 years, didn't do anything, and in 2 years had the thing occupied. And that's, you know, the bullet house should have been, I mean, talk about accountability and
I think
measurement.
that the Bullard House is actually going to be, I suppose, at some point on our agenda again. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
And we will have to follow up with you then, Walter. And,
I mean, I can look at it now. I mean, look at they wanted to put cabinets in there on walls that were falling in. It's a running joke amongst the people that were looking at it and wouldn't bid it.
well,
It's ridiculous.
We've got the building inspector who is taking a look, and he's supposed to give us a report, so we'll hear from him
He'll have
at
notes
some
shortly.
point.
Well,
Yeah.
well, that's good. You know, Larry
So-
did the same thing, and that's good. But then where do you go? You're going to go and spend
Well, we'll
more
find out.
money to do
We'll
it?
figure it out. No,
Okay.
we'll figure it out.
All right. Well, all right.
me.
So what you make it? You know, I after 50 years of contributing to this town, I deserve the courtesy of a decision. Make a decision, up or down. I'm not leaving here without an answer.
Did you talk to June?
Yeah.
Have you talked to June?
Yeah.
I haven't talked to her. What were June's thoughts?
June and I gotta listen. I can't read, I'm not gonna talk on camera what
Okay.
my
Well, why don't we-
private conversations
Why
are.
don't we end the meeting and then discuss if we're
Can we
going to?
maybe agree to have a decision for Walter at the next meeting?
No,
Sure.
I want it right now, I'm sorry. I'm embarrassed, I'm humiliated, and I'm really a little angry about it.
Well, you're kind of putting us on the spot, too.
You're putting me on the spot. You wanna volunteer? I'm volunteering. You're
I know.
hanging out there like a fool.
I haven't heard the feedback, though, from the Historical Commission.
They're gonna
so-
say no.
Well,
I
tell
talked
you
to
the
one today.
Historical Commission was not
They're gonna
comfortable
say no.
with Walter's
I talked to
application.
one this morning, it's, oh, I said, all I wanna do is, well, I know, but you know, he's gonna respond. I think you're more right than he is, but I don't know, I'll
You
quit
know,
if
one
we
of,
have
one
a
of the
fight.
things that somebody told me when I was on the school committee was that sometimes you can get things done better and faster when you're not on the committee. You can actually work aside the committee and get a lot of things done. So I mean, I don't know if that
No,
makes a
I'm
difference to
sorry.
you, but
That's a little insulting.
no,
Yes,
I'm
it is.
serious. That sometimes you have a lot of things that hold you back when you're on a committee. You have rules and regs.
No, there's only
Okay.
one thing holding anybody back on that historical commission, and the Board of Selectmen need to have accountability and ask what's going on.
Okay, then
And
I
the
need
money.
the time to ask that. I need time to ask, because I haven't heard. I don't know about.
And I've reached out and I haven't heard back,
Okay.
because I
Because
had
Peg
issues.
was gonna follow up on it, and,
Reach out to Lucy Ayers, reach out to Paul McKillop, reach out, I'll give you a list of people to reach out to, all right?
okay, thanks.
Thank you.
We will get back to you, Walter. You want to add that to,
Want that
July?
next agenda?
Yeah,
Yes, please.
And I'll call June too.
okay. All right. Hearing no other business, I will make,
Excuse me, I'll get Mary a list of people that you can reach out to. If you just reach out to the commission should be disbanded, period, and get other people on there to get things done. But I can work with them, and we can get going, but I'll give you people to reach out to. The history of this town is fascinating, and it should be a way to strengthen community, but it isn't.
thanks, Walter. We hear a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.